how much his Trump portrayal plays into this. Well, I just wonder if people have formed an opinion about Alec Baldwin because of him making fun of Trump.
I'd be more agree. I think it's just that he's, in a public way, an unlikable person.
I think so too.
And he came across very unlikable in the aftermath of it. And it's probably a hard hill to climb to be some sort of a sympathetic character, but he went out of his way, it seems, to not be the sympathetic character in this situation where he literally took someone's life by accident.
The New York Times has reached out to dozens of Democrats in the White House, on Capitol Hill, around the country, and they all seem to have come to a consensus when it comes to Vice President Kamala Harris. She has not risen to the challenge of proving herself as the future leader of the party. And this is from the New York Times. If the New York Times is turned on you as a Democrat, that's not good.
Yeah, how dare they?
How dare they?
We'll talk more about that when we get into Swamp Watch. But all about politics. Interview with Brian Cranston is coming up next hour also. Gary and Shannon will continue right after this.
Free-range, non-genetically modified, handcrafted, artisanal, gluten-free, stimulating thoughts. KSI.
KOST,
Los Angeles, Orange County.
live everywhere on the Air Radio app.
Fatal earthquake on Deborah Mark, live from KFI. 24-hour news where more than 2,300 people in Turkey and Syria have been killed in a 7.8 magnitude earthquake. Hundreds of people are still believed to be trapped under the rubble of toppled buildings and damaged cities. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, the people sent Israeli medical search and rescue teams to Turkey to help find survivors. The Israeli aid, Netanyahu said, will be extended to Syrian civilians as well, presumably those who crossed into Turkey. ABC's Jordana Miller says Israel's high-tech rescue teams will help find people trapped under an estimated 3,000 collapsed buildings. She says Israel is also likely to set up an advanced medical clinic to help treat those injured. The news is brought to you by WBC's Kitchen and Bath Center. At least 5 homes in the Canyon Country neighborhood are under evacuation and have been yellow tagged following a landslide in Santa Clarita. The landslide was reported yesterday, and officials say the homes were evacuated out of caution until an assessment can be made by the city.
What is such a insanity?
This neighbor tells KPOA he's worried for the people living in the houses that were evacuated. City officials say it's not clear what caused the landslide, but cited a geological issue. The area in the Skyline community is also currently blocked off to traffic. City employees in LA who have not been vaccinated against COVID-19 are getting a big break.
The city will grant all religious and medical exemptions filed before last Tuesday. The move affects more than 4,500 employees. A committee made up of LA Mayor Bass and 4 council members voted to give the city employees the break last week. Despite the vote, city employees in LA are still required to be vaccinated against COVID-19. Exemptions submitted after last Tuesday will be reviewed on a case-by-case basis. Boy, trolling. Hey, if I knew it.
Southern California has seen an almost 22% increase in calls in the first 6 months since the suicide lifeline switched to 988. Gutenberg's crisis care VP Sherry Simwelski says almost 60,000 calls, 5,000 texts, and 7,800 chats were answered. Approximately 93 to 95% of calls are de-escalated right on the call, or the chat, or the text, with no further intervention needed. Simwelski's calls are typically answered within 13 seconds and on average last about 13 minutes. Nationwide, more than 2,988,000 calls, texts, and chats were answered in the first 6 months since the crisis line switched to 3 digits. Officials in Ohio say they plan to release toxic chemicals from 5 cars that derailed trains to reduce the threat of an explosion. Ohio Republican Governor Mike DeWine says a controlled release of vinyl chloride will take place this afternoon.
The controlled release of the toxic chemicals also has the potential to be deadly if it fails.
He says the contents of the rail cars are currently unstable and could potentially explode, causing deadly disbursement of shrapnel. People near the site have been ordered to evacuate. The recovery of debris from a Chinese spy ship shot down Saturday off Myrtle Beach, South Carolina is expected to take a few days. On Saturday, a fighter jet hitting the balloon with a missile at about 60,000 feet. The Air Force confirmed this was the pilot speaking moments after that balloon was hit.
Black one. That is a
vice foreign minister has accused the U.S. of an indiscriminate use of force in shooting down the balloon. He said the U.S. has seriously damaged both sides' efforts and progress in stabilizing relations between the two countries. The KFI financial report, the Dow is down 33, S&P 500 down 22, NASDAQ down 91, and the average price of a gallon of regular gas in California is $4.62. Southland weather from KFI sunny with highs in the upper 60s for Metro LA, mid to upper 60s in the San Fernando and San Gabriel Valley, 50s Antelope Valley, and around 70 in inland Orange County, low to upper 70s for the Inland Empire, and it will be windy in some areas. Right now, it is 60 in Orange, 61 in Buena Park, 57 in Agora Hills, and 59 in Sherman Oaks. From the Southern California Toyota Dealers Traffic Center, like Bill Places, we're going to crash on the 57 in Brea. This is on the 57 northbound before you get to Connor Canyon Road. That crash has the carpool and the two right lanes blocked, and it is stacked up away from Imperial Highway. If you're on the southbound side, you get going as well because of it. You're going to be hitting the brakes on Diamond Bar Boulevard. In Corona 91 westbound before the 15 got an injury accident, clearing to the right shoulder. Several cars involved in this one. And a down motorcycle. We got a bit of a backup. Glen Helen, 15 north out of the Glen Helen Parkway. That wreck, clearing over to the right shoulder. In San Juan Capistrano on the far north side before the 73 toll road. Looks like we got a medic signpost that's lying in the right lane. Laguna Hill, 5 south out of Alicia Parkway. Got a sold car right lane, that off ramp. Then you should hold at a pass. 405 southbound before you get to Mulholland Drive. Got a crash clearing to the right shoulder, but you're still going to see some slowing from Burbank Boulevard and downtown LA, 101 northbound, right at 4th Street. Got a report of a brush fire in the right lane is closed. KFI in the sky helps get you there faster. I'm Jimmy Harman. What's for dinner, Burgers?
After last week, no thanks.
Avoiding food due to fear of diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stool? It may not be just stomach issues. It could be UTI, or exocrine pancreatic insufficiency. UTI can cause uncomfortable symptoms because it's a condition where the pancreas doesn't release enough digestive enzymes to break down food. But UTI can be in. Use the symptom checker on identifyuti.com and talk to your doctor about your symptoms. That's identifyuti.com. Sponsored by ROTHSCHILD.
More stimulating talk.
And I like radio stations. Live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. Monday, February 6th, 2023, if you're keeping track of that kind of stuff. We're going to catch up with Jason Nathanson coming up in the next hour. He's going to have all of our brand news somewhere in Affleck. He's still sitting in a chair looking sick.
Somebody called and asked, how many times do you think they had to call a sponsor last night during the show?
Oh, constantly.
He just left the line open.
That's a bold move to go to one of those drawn-out award shows when you're just on the brink.
And everybody else they were hammering through.
Oh, you have to get through it.
The powerful 7.8 magnitude earthquake hit different parts of Turkey and Syria early today. Hundreds of buildings have been toppled. The death toll I just saw jump up to 2,700. According to CNN, that is likely to rise. You can tell just simply because it could be some time before they even get a good grasp of who's missing.
It's so bad that Zelensky is offering aid. The country is at war, and he is offering aid to Syria because of the dire need. They say that there is an urgent need for heavy machines, medicine, food there in Syria. There's not going to be power, water shortages for a long time.
The woman died after she was hit on Coast Highway down in Laguna Beach last night, about 6 o'clock, as if she crossing the road on South Coast Highway, south of Nye's Place, and was hit several times by oncoming traffic in southbound lanes. According to Laguna Beach Police, she was not in the crosswalk apparently when she was hit.
11 is when we dive into all of the news coming out of Washington.
Wow.
The government doesn't work.
Oh, man. We're making like a reality TV. Trump was a bad dude. Always looks like there's somewhere watching this too.
Hey, Joe.
All too clearly built on a swamp. In so many ways, still a swamp. That's a bunch of malarkey. Like the greatest swamp that's so yes, this swamp.
You know, he is not in love with that poll, or that poll, or that poll. There is a Washington Post ABC News poll that says 2 years into Biden's presidency, and he has accomplished not very much, according to 62% of Americans. And this is a Washington Post ABC News poll. So take from that what you will. If that's at 62%, it's probably much higher.
Yeah, that echoed by an Associated Press North Center for Public Affairs Research shows 37% of Democrats say they want Joe Biden to run for second term. 37%. That's down from 52% in the week just before the midterm. That's a quick turnaround. I'm sorry, not a turnaround. That's a quick slide of just a couple of months like that. Follow-up interviews with poll respondents suggest many believe that his 80-year life is a liability.
Especially with Kamala Harris in the wing.
And I wonder, even if, well, who was it? Elizabeth Warren, Senator Elizabeth Warren was asked about Joe Biden, and she said, absolutely, he should definitely run again. And then when asked about Kamala Harris, he was like, you know what, I'm going to leave that up to Joe.
I'm just going to ask this question. Who is going to be up in arms if they get Kamala Harris off that ticket? Who's going to be up in arms?
Anybody who believes that race is the determining factor in who the vice president is. You're going to have people who will say systemic racism is the reason the Democratic Party can't keep a black woman in the second most powerful seat in the United States.
The reason that she can't be kept in the seat is because she hasn't done anything. It has nothing to do with her race. I just don't see her there to be any outcry
If they get rid of her.
if they got rid of her.
Or it's oh, you can't do that. But seriously, please, can we get definition in there? Or whatever they would say, whoever it is that they think should be.
It's got to be either a woman or someone of color. I would say that. Otherwise, people, if it's another white man, that would not go over well with the Democrats.
But then who do you choose? I mean, I know there's plenty of perfectly qualified, yes, public servants that would fit into that role, but remember, you're still one cough, one leg hair, one heart attack away from the presidency. You want somebody who's going to have enough experience. I mean, that's maybe one of the reasons why there's so many people who are looking at Kamala Harris and suggesting that she not be the running mate for the next term around.
The New York Times touched dozens of Democrats in the White House, on the Hill, around the nation, including some who helped launch her to that place on the 2020 ticket. And the consensus is that she has not proven herself as a future leader of the party, of the country. Some Democrats and her own advisors referred reporters for supportive quotes, confided privately that they had lost hope in her. So some Democrats were like, hey, why don't you go ask so-and-so? They'll give you something good about her. So they went to so-and-so, and so-and-so's like, no, not good, not so good.
Now, how much of it is the difference between her emerging as a leader on her own, and how much of it is the president not giving her the right things to champion?
You've got to make your own way. You've got to shine your own little light. You can't wait for somebody to say, here's the perfect pet project for you. You're given a platform like this, there's so much you can do with it. There's so much, and she hasn't done anything. She's done things like piss off her staff. She's done things like create a toxic work environment. It's perhaps leaving a sinking ship since she got into office. One of her communications directors, recent communications director, Jamal Simmons, has stepped down. He said that he learned that the desk chairs in her office needed to be changed to suit her. But that's what she's focused on. Instead of embracing the platform as Vice President of the United States as a woman, And it pisses me off as a woman that the opportunity has been squandered. You're worried about your desk chair? Why would that even be a thing? It's kind of like in here. We don't care about our chairs.
Go on.
We want to just do our job, right?
The chair is not what is going to prevent you. It's not going to be the determining factor in whether the show is good or not.
Yeah.
And okay. I see what you're doing. I see. Now, this article from the New York Times also says that it's all but certain that he's going to run again. The concern over Kamala Harris has shifted to whether she would be a political liability for his ticket. Imagine, because you can already hear Nikki Haley when she was talking about running. She had said a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, you don't need to be 80 to be a good leader. She's already laying out the argument against both Trump and Biden, and why she, at 51 or 52, however old she is, would be a better option. If Joe Biden does in fact throw his hat into the ring to run again, the first thing that people are going to do is say, yeah, you're 80. This is not a good time for you. Thank you for everything you've done, but it's time to step aside. Republicans are going to say, you vote to put an 80-year-old in the office. To re-elect an 80-year-old is basically a vote for Kamala Harris. Because something's going to happen that will incapacitate him, or it's just going to be too much for him to handle at the age of 80. John Morgan is a prominent fundraiser for Democrats and said that would be one of the most hard-hitting arguments against Biden, that voting for Joe Biden is a vote to put Kamala Harris in the Oval Office. And he says it doesn't take a genius to say, look, with his age, we have to really think about this.
He's never gotten out of the role of defense. He's playing defense. He's down 21-0. It's the second quarter, and he's just trying to keep up. And he's not committing to the run game.
Like Thomas, no football now.
But it makes sense, right? And now she's making mistakes.
Yeah,
she's being forced into making unforced errors.
And then he's going to
pick here, pick here.
He's going to push the quarterback while he's already out of bounds.
You don't have to get it all back in this play. All right, just chip away. Just put together some rhythm.
Play your game.
Just dink and donk your way down the field so you can score some kind of points and get back into it. How dare they?
Mm-hmm. There was things so good when we come back. Just one. Oh, and don't forget State of the Union tomorrow night.
Nobody's waiting for that. They better get him some amphetamine. Is there some fen lying around? Is there some 70s good amphetamine? Send some to Diet Pill.
Gary Cannon will see it. Deborah Mark is live in the KFI 24-hour news.
A 7.8 magnitude earthquake has killed now at least 2,600 people in Syria and Turkey. Dell says it plans to lay off about 5% of its workforce, or about 6,500 people. The company has been dealing with reduced demand for personal computers. The Pakistan Telecommunication Authority says it has blocked Wikipedia services in the country because a 48-hour deadline to remove alleged blasphemous content was ignored. We're going to go over to the 405 next. If you're on the 405, maybe, and you have just been injured in an accident, whether it's a car, motorcycle, truck, help. Is there a dog out there? Did that dog bite you?
You need to call a firm that's been helping injured accident victims for 18 years in Wales. We're talking about Sweet Games Accident Attorney.
Sweet Games has now settled $188 million just this year alone for their injured clients, and the best part is, every time they settle a case, they donate meals to those in need.
They fed almost 80,000 people in this last year. Most people don't know what to do when they're in an accident. So you may not be able to use your car. The injury may not allow you to go to work or take part in your normal everyday activities.
If it happens to you, just call Sweet Games and speak to someone who cares. There's nothing to lose. Get the compassion you need. Help with medical treatment.
And the money, the justice you just deserve. So if you've been hurt in an accident, call Sweet Games. Awarded best attorneys in America. 800-500-5200. 800-500-5200. Or go to sweetgames.com.
We have a stall on the 405 in West LA. It's on the 405 North Athletic Santa Monica Boulevard. It's Then in the Monster area, there's a good break trying to clear it, then you've already got a slow line from Sepulveda Boulevard. Also on the 405 southbound right in Mulholland, that class, clearing over the right shoulder. I still do see some delays that turn away from the 101. In Newhall, 5 south at 14 connector, you have a disabled vehicle in the left lane. In Boyle Heights, 5 northbound right after the 710, heads up large tire in the left lane. And in Berea, 57 northbound toward Counter Canyon Road, that class still has the carpool and the 3 left lane block is Dr. Truman Imperial Highway. Clarifying the sign, I'll get you there faster. I'm Jenny Arman.
This report is sponsored by Mothers Against Drunk Driving.
The victims of drunk and drug driving are grief disease. But you are not alone. You always have a place at MAD. Call our 24-hour addiction hotline at 877-MAD-HELP or visit mad.org. Earn your bachelor's, master's, or nursing degree in the classroom or online at Vanguard University, ranked as a top 10 university in the West by U.S. News and World Report for 12 consecutive years. At Vanguard, your story matters. Visit Vanguard.edu to learn more. We Las Vegas welcomes you to Awakening, a new theatrical experience created by award-winning artists, enriched by spectacular sound, meet colorful characters, and journey with them through wondrous realms. Experience Awakening. Get your tickets at awakening.com.
On the Exorcist Files podcast, a leading exorcist and demon element shares stories of disturbing and vicious cases of possession. For the last 2 decades, Father Carlos Montes has encountered evil in nearly every way imaginable. When Hollywood portrayed The Exorcist with levitation, vomiting, spilling at the priest, all of that has not been a movie for me. I have seen that firsthand. Listen to The Exorcist Files on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcast. This study, the methodology is flawed. Clear for the Jews, carries the why, and it all gets everybody's back. So you put out a number that says, oh, we're doing great, and that is a scam that I'm sure is arranged by the city council members because these movies are just made out of expecting them. Who's going to know? John and Ken, how are they going to prove it? Live 1 to 4 p.m. on KFI and on demand anytime on the iHeartRadio app. It's 5 a.m. this morning. Live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. My interview with Brian Cranston, perhaps you've heard of him, coming up in a few minutes.
Was Jacob grumpy the whole time I was gone, or is it today?
He was actually kind of happy. Really? Yeah, and I don't know if it was like he was on 53 or it was happy to see Marla and Layla, or, you know.
Do you enjoy your time away from me, Jacob? Is that what I'm hearing?
It felt a little odd, I will say. But good kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, something's missing, but in an exciting way.
Like something annoying is missing. I don't want to deal with it missing. I hear you.
We got a chance for you to win $1,000. Here's how you pick it up. Now, your chance to win $1,000. Just enter the nationwide keyword on the website. Cash. That's cash. C-A-S-H. Enter it now at KFIAF640.com/cash. Powered by Sweet Games Accident Attorney. If there's an accident, winning is everything. Call the winning attorney to Sweet Games. 800-500-5200. That's 800-500-5200 or sweetgames.com. Make sure you put that keyword on the website, KFIAF640.com/cash, and then keep an eye on the email inbox. That's how they're going to let you know that you won that money.
George Santos. Oh boy, the hits just keep on coming. What hasn't he done accused of? Now he's jumping into the sexual misconduct ring. This is a prospective staffer who has filed this ethics violation. And we've got the details here. They came out on Twitter. This guy is 30-year-old Derek Myers, and he says this is not about attention, it's about holding the absent accountable. Apparently, George Santos asked him on January if he had a profile on Grindr. You know, the popular LGBTQ plus dating app. He told this guy that he had a profile on Grindr, George Santos did. Later that day, this guy
guy was in George Santos' office reviewing mail, and George Santos invited him to sit next to him on a sofa.
Oh my.
He used to come up and reach in his head and rub my leg down. Yeah, he Joseph. He wrote Derek Myers that after seeking to move forward with a discussion about the mail, the congressman stopped me by placing his hand on my left leg. Your mind used to come up and reach in his head and rub my leg down. And you got a hairy leg. And you say, hey buddy, we're going to karaoke tonight. Would you like to go? Now we know George Santos is into karaoke. We've heard his selection. Derek Myers declined the invitation, and then George Santos allegedly proceeded to take his hand and move it down my leg into my inner thigh and proceeded to touch my groin. George Santos told this guy his husband was out of town, invited him over to the house. He says, I quickly pushed the congressman's hand away and grabbed the mail from the table and proceeded to discuss the topic of constituent correspondence. How
dare you, sir?
How do you transition back to correspondence after someone's grabbing your genitals at work? Like, how does that happen? How do you just continue going along with your day?
A few days later, he called back into George Santos' office and asked about his background as a journalist.
Like, you and Mondo are in the office, right? And you're sitting in your chair, right? And Mondo says to you, hey, you want to go to karaoke tonight? And you're like, no. And so then Mondo comes over and sits in the chair next to your chair and puts his hand on your leg and looks you in your eyes. And then moves his hand up and down your leg. But the visual, right, is jarring of like you're at work and somebody makes this kind of overture, so much so that they are Rick Jacobs' hand in the groin time. And then you're just going to go back to talking about
constituent correspondence.
The show tomorrow. I just don't understand that.
He was called into the congressman's office to ask about his background as a journalist. He said, I was questioned about matters that had already been disclosed in my conversations with hiring managers from the office prior to my job offer. That would have been January 30th. And then on Wednesday, February 1st, quote, I was informed that my job offer was being rescinded. When asked to describe George Santos' office, Derek said he remembers the neatness of the papers, the green Post-it notes, and the click bars on the coffee table.
Details matter.
So he says, I was never in there to admire the decor. So.
No good disaster go unused. I think that's what we're seeing in this case. George Santos is clearly a disaster, and this guy's probably trying to make a little money off of it.
Some fundraising stories. The very deep-pocketed Koch brothers, Charles and David, are, I guess, saying that they will be throwing some money and weight behind Republicans for the 2024 presidential primary. However, to prepare to support a candidate in a Republican presidential primary who can lead our country forward and who can win, according to the CEO of Americans for Prosperity Action, top advisor at AFC Action. The memo does not mention Donald Trump.
When this first came out, it sounded like they were going to spend money to defeat Donald Trump in any sort of primary, which I don't think you need to do.
Well, they do say an official at AFC confirmed to CNN, the network, that the network is not planning to support Donald Trump's White House bid. I think you're right. I mean, it's a weird view of the polls lately that have kind of been split about if you just take Trump and DeSantis. There's a weird split there where some people within Florida are super DeSantis and some people outside of Florida are super Trump. So it's not a given necessarily that he wouldn't get the, I don't think he will, but it's not a given that he won't get the nomination, Donald Trump. So, so the Union tomorrow night, where to watch it? If you're interested, everywhere. And you can watch it on YouTube or Twitter or anywhere. You can watch it. Why do you have a
I'm going to something in my head. I would say it would be refreshing for him to be like, you know what, we're not doing it. Not going to do it this time. I'm going to just do the old-fashioned, get reports from my different departments and kind of go through that and the whole bit. But if he didn't do it, he'd be like, is he dead?
Right. Yeah, you can't not. I don't think.
But on the heels of this China balloon disaster, again, he does not come out. If he was already in a position of appearing weak, if you go back to Afghanistan withdrawal, you go back to Putin feeling like he can pull the trigger and go into Ukraine, and this is just compounding the weakness problem, the optics of weakness.
So, well, one question is, does that come up?
I mean, if I'm Joe Biden, I would have gone to myself and shut that balloon down to appear strong, and I am going to take the bull by the horns. I'd go shoot that thing down myself, and I have cameras there.
I don't think Air Force One can go that high. Maybe it can. I don't know what the ceiling is on that thing. That's 50,000 feet.
Put on a flight suit, get in an F-16 or whatever it is they fly.
Who's that?
The military. Where are we flying these days? What type of equipment are we
That
flying?
was an F-22.
Okay.
That shot down the balloon.
Do we still have F-16? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I inquired. They didn't need my help, but I did inquire this week.
Are you sending an email?
First thing Saturday morning. I thought it was going to be done by then.
Yeah.
First thing Saturday morning. But this thing thought, look, you guys need somebody.
Sure.
Because look, all they have to do, they don't even have to claim responsibility for it at that point. They're like, some guy just picked up an F-15, grabbed the keys off the hook and took it. And then then he shoots the balloon.
I like that kind of raising of your hand to say that you will go and take care of the Chinese.
Yes. Same thing like the front office last Sunday. When I offered to, I put a call in and I was like, guys, if you need a quarterback, I can do it. I mean, sorry. You started with football.
I would like to say this. You did step in on behalf at a meeting we had.
Somebody else was starting.
When people wanted to talk about football, the debacle. And you said,
literally had crumbled up tissue in your hand.
I was in a very precarious place emotionally, and you thought people trying to engage with me about it, and you cut it off. That's a good friend.
What I did.
Single field.
Very terrible. With Deborah Mark is live in the KFI 24-hour newsroom.
Family members of the three people found shot to death inside their home in Montclair nearly a week ago have spoken out about the family's tragedy. The daughter of the couple found dead on January 30th says her parents were always there for their kids.
I would never think this would happen in my arms because I was how selfish they were. They're devastating to us. We're still processing everything. They're very near the way.
The daughter of George and Sonia Ramirez told KTLA yesterday a GoFundMe campaign has been set up to help with the cost of funerals.
It made us very nervous. I mean,
Business owners in Long Beach have been hit with a series of burglaries.
I don't know why they feel like they want to target. We don't keep cash here. We don't carry cash.
Burglars that have been robbing several stores late at night over the last several stores late at night over the last 2 weekends. Long Beach Police Department says it's putting more resources out to investigate crime. Hundreds of schools across the country have been preparing for additional lessons to celebrate Black History Month.
In the Bay Area, elementary schools making to volunteer to Black History Month all around. Parents and staff love elementary schools. Stay interested on the social justice curriculum will help students learn them in diverse education throughout the year.
Learning about people. We're just learning about each other. I don't care what color you are or who you love, we're just learning about human beings.
Fourth grade teacher Ryan Brazil says students get a better understanding in the diversity of others. Andrew Carabella, KFI News.
A neo-Nazi leader recently released from prison has been arrested for plotting an attack on the power grid in Maryland with a woman he met while locked up. The two will make their first court appearance today on the charge of conspiring to destroy an energy facility.
Yes, guys, you just gratefully or ethically motivated extremists.
As FBI Thomas Stobo Kinski says the pair were taking steps to fulfill their threats and further their extremist goals. Prosecutors say the plan was to attack 5 substations in Baltimore with gunfire. They were arrested last week. Southland weather from KFI sunny and windy in some places with highs in the upper 60s for metro LA. Mid to upper 60s for the San Fernando and San Gabriel Valley. 50s Antelope Valley, around 70 in inland Orange County, low to upper 60s for the Inland Empire. Right now it's 60 in Cypress and 61 in Brea. We're going back to the 57 in Brea. A pretty tough crash here. The 57 northbound before the Batana Canyon Road. That accident has the carpool and the 3 left lanes blocked. There is stopped coming away from Imperial Highway. Telephone signs, it is going to be close from Diamond Bar Boulevard. Also in Boyle, 710 is tire in the left lane. In Glendale, 134 eastbound to the 5 South connector. Got a wreck on the right shoulder of that transition. In Newhall, 5 South at the 14 connector. They're doing a break right now, holding on lanes to clear a stop on the left lane. And you've got the lead from Calgrove Boulevard. And mid-city on the westbound to Crenshaw Boulevard, another disabled vehicle in the middle lane. KFI in the sky helps get you there faster. I'm Jay Harmon.
Are you looking for a way to protect your portfolio against the uncertainty of the stock market? Invest in commercial real estate. With over $1.5 billion in assets, First National Realty Partners offers investors access to institutional quality real estate featuring national brand tenants such as Walmart, Kroger, Publix, and many others. FNRC is one of the largest syndicators of grocery-anchored real estate in the U.S. Investors choose the specific deals to invest in and receive consistent quarterly cash distributions. To learn about their investor partner opportunity, call the investor relations team now. 888-301-9010. That's 888-301-9010. Or get started at FNRPradio.com. That's FNRPradio.com. Get a preview of their current and upcoming deals and see what returns investors are earning. Call 888-301-9010 or FNRPRADIO.com. Investments are subject to risk, including loss of your personal securities, are only available to verified accredited investors. Cash distributions are not guaranteed. Any recommendations made about investments could be reflect FNRP strategy and may or may not be realized. Visit FNRPradio.com. The Quality Thrive Foundation has been at the forefront of inflammatory bowel disease research and care for over 50 years. Learn more about research, education, and support at Crohn'sColliderFoundation.org. This President's Day, don't miss 56 Hail to the Cheek sale. Don't you mean Hail to the Cheek, Larry? Number one, Hail to the Cheek, with over 50% off the best brand. Over 50% off? It's more like a Hail to the Cheek sale, because you're stealing every penny of profit. Clearly, during 56 when it's more affordable. Because if you're in credit, buy today and take interest-free for 36 months. On purchase of about $3,000 with your minimum monthly payment and 10% down. Plus save $500 on temporary vegetable sets and save up to $900 on beauty rest flash. Let's just call it the Hail to the Bleach sale. Why Hail to the Bleach? Because these discounts are going to make me lose my You're killing me, Larry. So this President's sale, save over 50% off and stay interest-free for 36 months. During 56 Hail to the Cheek sale. Couldn't people beat anyone's advertised price for your mattress for free? By now, you've heard all of our ads. America's largest injury law firm. It means that with us, you get a legal army. When it comes to law, size matters. Morgan & Morgan. Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you. Well, that's your name. Call Pacific Coast Termite for a free home inspection. The free, friendly way. Let's be honest, vacation sucks. And if I gas prices that you're sitting at home like a loser, they can tell you we're a winner. TFI wants to give you a tax refill with $1,000 every weekday hour from 6 a.m. through 7 p.m. Just listen for the keyword and enter it at TFIAM640.com/tax. That's just winning. Listen to win $1,000 every hour weekdays from 6 a.m. through 7 p.m. Claim your tax refill on TFI AM 640. More stimulating talk. AM 640 live everywhere. probably would have talked to you too if you were around. But listen, I can't control the flow of celebrity.
Right.
When you leave and everybody just comes walking in.
Right.
That's fine. Think about it. The time that we had a big star on was Richard Dreyfuss.
He was
And
such
you
an a-hole.
you did something to him.
I did nothing but butter him up. I talked about
children or something.
I talked about all of his movies. I talked about crying at Mr. Holland's Opus. I think I did a fairly good job of fluffery with him, and it got me nowhere. He was not fluff. He was the opposite of fluff.
Whatever that would be.
And it sucks, because now when I watch his movies, I'm never going to watch them again. But he didn't need to be that big of a dude.
And I don't know if it was because he's at the end of the day and we were his 50-second interview.
Then don't do it. Then don't do it. If you're not going to put your best foot forward and treat people with kindness and respect and dignity, don't do the interview.
This is great.
I know.
Massive earthquake hit Turkey early this morning, toppling hundreds of buildings. The numbers in terms of the death toll, somewhere over 2,600, 2,700 was one of the CNN chyrons had that 2,700 plus. Then there was a 7.5 aftershock a few hours later, so that place was just destroyed. Hundreds are still believed to be trapped under the rubble. It'll be days before we even get an idea of how many people are still missing.
Well, they say in the LA Times the Colorado River crisis is so bad that Lake Mead and Powell are unlikely to refill in our lifetime. Yes, the snowpack in the Sierra is the deepest it's been in decades, but it's not going to do much of a dent in the long-term water storage for the Colorado River Basin, which is obviously an essential source of water for us here in Southern California.
Right. You've got Lake Mead and Lake Powell, the nation's largest reservoirs, and just based on the way that we use water now compared to what we did in the, say, 50s and 60s, that's their concern, that we will never see it fill. Brad Udall is a water and climate scientist at Colorado State University. Lake Mead is the one that's right behind Hoover Dam, filled up in the 80s and 90s. In 2000, it was almost all the way to the top and was actually almost going down the spillway gate. Then the drought came, and as we've seen over the last 20 plus years, less than acceptable rainfall, although I don't know what we're going to do about it. So now that Lake Mead is about 70% below where it should be, so it's about 30%. Farther upstream from that, Lake Powell is in even worse conditions. Lake Powell is now just 23% of capacity, and it's to a point where it will not be able to generate power as Glen Canyon Dam if it continues to fall. So we are seeing above average snowpack here in the Sierra Nevada. We're seeing it in the Rocky Mountains, where obviously that is what feeds the Colorado River. But you'll need to plan, they say, for low reservoir levels for years to come because of the way the water is used. As an example, manager of the Colorado Resources for Metropolitan Water District here in Southern California says they're not going to refill. It's not going to refill. The only reason they filled the first time is because there wasn't demand for water. In the 50s and 60s and 70s and 80s, there was no Central Arizona project that takes it to areas like Phoenix and Tempe and farther south. There was no Southern Nevada Water Authority, and there was not nearly as much use on the upper Colorado River Basin. So the reservoirs would fill up.
Colorado River picked up in the late 90s, early 2000s. The Central Arizona project brings water from the Colorado River to Arizona. Wasn't completed until the 90s, and then, of course, the Southern Nevada Water Authority created in 91. Now the water use is maxed out. Every state says it's taking too much. We have to cut back. This year after wet year after wet year after wet year. In his words.
And as we mentioned last week, no one has ideas on how to fix this. It's us, California, against 5 other states, or 6 other states. And we cannot agree. We pick the most because we're the best. or something like that. And the other 6 states that are trying to fight for that same water say, yeah, but you guys are super cans and you're taking too much of the water.
We've been having this conversation for many years about we're going to run out of water. We're going to run out of water. There's not enough. But I don't think anybody really sees that. It's not something that you realize.
But the water's never stopped coming out of your faucet.
Exactly. So when did you get to the point where people want to make the demand for the unsexy political promise of water storage?
I assume it's going to take them literally shutting off water to specific neighborhoods.
Yeah.
I mean, and not even just the, hey, could you please turn off your sprinklers or make sure that they're tuned right or try to use 10% less water. I mean, we've seen those requests coming down, but those are soft requests. They're not backed up a lot of times with any sort of fine or any sort of, civil penalty if you overuse, other than a higher price on your water bill. Until people start turning on their faucets and dust comes out, you're not going to see that. You're not going to see the pressure for it. We've all become way too complacent about something like water because we take it for granted. So,
Makes me thirsty.
I know.
All right, coming up next, Gary has a special guest that he spoke with while I was away.
I talked to actor Bryan Cranston about this fundraiser that he's doing for the Super Bowl.
I just love him. He's just so incredible in everything.
Everything.
That's the kind of story I was ready to get engaged in.
Give you a preview. I said, hey, have you been doing anything after Malcolm in the Middle? Like,
and said that?
No.
I was going to die. Don't embarrass me when I'm not here.
My interview with Bryan Cranston when we come back to Gary again. Deborah Mark is live in the KFI 24 hours.
The Kelly County Board of Supervisors will consider proposed new laws that would tighten regulation of sales and ownership of guns in unincorporated areas at their meeting tomorrow. A San Diego sheriff's deputy has been arrested after authorities allegedly found cocaine in his car at a jail facility in San Diego County. Officials say the deputy was arrested Friday for bringing drugs onto jail property. A new survey shows many Americans aren't too optimistic about the future of the economy. A new Gallup poll shows 67% of those who responded said they expect inflation to go up in the first half of this year, while 48% say they think the stock market values will decline. We're going to go to the 405 next. I remember coming home one day and there was a river in the garage. There were not enough cows to clean up said river. So you open up a claim with your homeowner's insurance company and you find out that your insurance adjuster sucks. They're trying to pay you so little you're not going to be able to repair the damage. This is the time to call the bulldog you know as Abner Gat. Abner Gat is looking out for you. Abner Gat is a public insurance adjuster who is on your side. You can try to negotiate with the a-holes, your insurance company, but you're going to find very quickly it's not that simple. Abner Gat will out-a-hole the a-holes, right? He negotiates on your behalf to make sure you're getting the best possible outcome, not them. He and the team have been dealing with insurance companies for many years. This is all they do. They got the experience and the industry know-how you need on your side. They're also rated 5 stars on Yelp, Google, and Better Business Bureau. No one messes around with Abner Gat and team. Give Abner a call, 818-917-5256, 818-917-5256, or visit AbnerGat.com. That's ABNERGAT, AbnerGat.com, or call him directly, 818-917-5256. This week around 70. This report brought to you by Unbound.org from the Southern California Toyota Dealers Traffic Center. Let's go places. We're going to a stall on 405 in Culver City. 405 southbound right across that boulevard. That's always in the right lane. Head up next Culver Pass. 405 south after Culver Boulevard. A large roll of wire in the second lane from your left. Santa Fe Spring, 605 north at Blossom. Got a new crash clearing to the right shoulder. In Garden Grove and Twin Cities at Harbor. Bunch of debris in the 3 left lanes in gray at 57 north 74 Connor Canyon Road. Still got that wreck blocking the carpool and the left 3 lanes. KFI in the sky helps get you there faster. I'm Jim Harmon.
This report is sponsored by Unbound.org. Right now, there are young people across the world facing a tough choice. Continue their dream of education or drop out to help their family put food on the table. You can help change their future in a single moment. See how far your support can go at Unbound.org.
What's for dinner, burgers?
After last week, no thanks.
Avoiding foods due to fear of diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or stool. It may not be just stomach issues. It could be UTI, or exocrine pancreatic insufficiency. UTI can cause uncomfortable symptoms because it's a condition where the pancreas doesn't release enough digestive enzymes to break down food. But UTI can be managed. Use the symptom center on identifyuti.com and talk to your doctor about your symptoms. That's identifyuti.com. Sponsored by Ashley.
Right now, there are young people across the world continue their dream of education or drop out to help their family put food on the table. You can help change their future in a single moment. See how far your support can go at unbound.org. Yeah, visit HoustonFeedit.org or call 833-422-4255. That's the medication to treat COVID-19. Sponsored by the California Department of Public Health. I've been a small business person my entire adult life, and over the years, several HR issues I got nailed. I could never afford an HR person. But there's an answer, Bambi.com. And with Bambi, you get an HR person starting at just $99 per month. I thought this was too good to be true. This is real. Bambi helps you deal with your HR problems, like writing HR retirements, terminations, that was my problem, people complaining about other employees, all putting you and your business at risk. With Bambi, you get access to your own dedicated HR manager available by phone, email, real-time chat. Go to Bambi.com, type in KFI under the radio drop-down when you sign up. Bambi.com, that's KFI under the radio drop-down. I want the credit, please. Spelled BAM, B-E-E, that's BAM, B-E-E, that's Bambi.com. Contractor license 104771. Here are some homeowner headaches. We fix it. Yeah, one is our team rejuvenation, where we help you prevent breakdowns by performing 6 critical adjustments for just $149. Another one is warm plug-in drains for just $80 with a 30-foot drain set. And we're on call 24/7, 365 days a year. And our drain cleaner service is just $80. So nice and satisfied. Little air conditioning and pump. CLE.com. We do things the right way, not the easy way. Portions of the following program will be recorded. Dennis Torres said he lost 25 pounds listening to the show. He put his headphones on and walked for 2 hours a night to listen to the show. He lost 25 pounds. So you can also lose weight by listening to the show. But still try to listen to your show. You just have to put headphones on and start walking around. Live 4 to 7 p.m. on KFI and on demand anytime on the iHeartRadio app. Gary Sanders, KFI AM 640. Live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app.
Earthquake has killed at least 2,100 people in Turkey and Syria. It is desperate times there. You're going to be hearing about the aid that they desperately need after the 7.8 quake that struck in the early morning, followed hours later by a 7.5. Rescuers still at work there, digging through the rubble.
China says it was their spy balloon. Well, they claim it's a civilian flight balloon, the one that's flying over Latin America. The Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson said the second balloon also came from China. But due to the impact of weather and limiting self-steering ability, this aircraft seriously deviated from its scheduled course. I had the opportunity to sit down and chit-chat with one of our favorite actors, TRUMAN, 6-time Emmy Award winner, 4-time Screen Actors Guild winner, 2-time Tony winner, picked up a Golden Globe. So, in all honesty, Brian, that means that you have one more Golden Globe than I do. But all the others we don't count because I'm not even close. First of all, thanks for taking time for us today. We really appreciate it. My pleasure. Glad you guys. Hey, I cannot tell you how tense I get after I watch every new episode of Your Honor, whether it's the first season or now we're halfway through the second season. My wife and I stay awake at night because we can't go to sleep after we watch Judge Deciato dealing with these impossible choices that he's faced with in this series. Do you get that when you're doing a show like that? Did you walk away from a day on the set and think to yourself, "Oh, people are never going to be able to sleep after this"? Is that harder or easier in terms of what you do as an actor?
Harder. Hardest work for an actor is to have a large role in a Broadway show, because if it's very well written, then it has, an immense life to it. It has a strong beginning, middle, and end. Very emotional, engaged, maybe physically demanding, and you do that 8 times a week. Every single time you leave the theater, you're exhausted, and you have to regroup and sleep. You get back and do it again, do it again, do it again, and you end up doing it hundreds of times. It's tough, but also at the same time, it's probably the most rewarding work that an actor can do, because you feel the audience, you can feel them with you, and the gasp, and the burst of laughter, or pride, or fear, or looking back in their seats. I mean, it's just great to be able to do a storytelling like that.
Yeah, and my co-host would be upset if I didn't brag about my time in adult theater. In a couple of plays. I like to say that you and I are sort of in the same business, and I appreciate the same gasps and laughs and things like that.
Well, let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. Are you saying that adult theater is different from adult movies?
Very much so.
Were you also in adult movies?
Well, none that I would admit to, and none that I know about that. Well, I'll say that. You like to say adult theater because it's a bunch of people who have had zero success at any other acting and decided to, audition for the local theater version of It's a Wonderful Life or something like that.
I'm going to do that. I really am.
What do you watch? Do you have guilty pleasures? I mean, are there things that catch you by surprise that maybe you didn't think that you'd appreciate, but you can't miss the next episode when it comes down the line?
Well, I don't watch a lot because I'm really busy. For example, I'm also producing Your Honor. So at every step of the way, I'm reading the outlines, reading the script, watching the cuts, giving notes on all of these, discussing them with the network and the studio and my fellow producers. And there's just a tremendous amount of work to be had in doing that. So I go to the set to watch it, not at the first. I don't know if it's guilty pleasure, but I still like watching Shark Tank. I learn a lot from it. It's fun for me. I like Jeopardy. Just to stimulate the mind and see what's going on. That's a lot of fun. But and then the last show that I really binged was Better Call Saul. Oh, it's been a while.
Well, you mentioned your role, obviously, as executive producer as well for Your Honor. You have the power to step in and say, I'm going to direct the next episode. And I know you did with at least one of the first seasons, right? Are you planning? Did you ever get back into that and say, I'm going to do this for a couple of more episodes for season 2?
I decided not to, because the character that I play, Michael Desiato, was going through quite a tormented thing. And I thought, and I could use a lot of words, and so I thought, I think I need to just focus on being the actor, and I also have my producing duties, and I think that's enough. Let's hire others to come in and put the reins to direct.
You don't need to take all of the food and track there, but you leave it for some of the other people too.
That's exactly right.
Sunday, obviously, is going to be Super Bowl. Everybody talks about it, and I know that you're teaming up with Propeller to raise money for Big Brothers and Big Sisters of America. Tell us what's going on for you.
Oh, wow. So, a year ago, I did the narration for NFL films of the Rams Super Bowl season. It was wonderful to do. I had a great time doing it. And the NFL very generously gave me 2 tickets to the Super Bowl. And so, fantastic. I did it. Months go by, and popcorn comes to Aaron Paul, and Jesse and says, and me, and said, we'd like to do a Super Bowl commercial that you tried to do all. What do you think of this idea? And they put this an idea that we we take the 2 tickets we're not using and have a raffle that actually benefits something. The NFL said, yes, that sounds scary. Popcorn said, thumbs up with us. Fantastic. So I contacted the Big Brothers Big Sisters of America, which is a great organization. They really, really care. They create mentorships for young boys and girls who don't have that older influence in their lives. That it helps them to discover which pathway is best for them. Helps them with that decision making. Gives them a tip on what they can expect the next year or 2 or 3. It's just a great organization. They do a phenomenal job. So I thought, well, let's do that. Let's raise some money for the Big Brothers Big Sisters of America. At the same time, we offer 2 tickets to the Super Bowl, 2 airline fares, the hotel is paid for, ground transportation is paid for, and we'll organize a time for us to meet. So sometime this weekend in Phoenix, I'll meet up with the winners and we'll have a cocktail or 2.
Awesome. You can enter by going to BrianCranstonBigGame.com. Donate at least $5. You're going to be entered into that raffle. That's awesome. Now, you and I think, are both probably more baseball guys than we are football guys. But, I mean, how do you miss out going to the Super Bowl? It sounds like a blast.
You gotta go to the Super Bowl. And we're making that drawing, by the way, if they ask it tomorrow, live on the Dan Patrick show. I'm picking the winners. So you get in now.
BrianCranstonBigGame.com is where you get in and give the donation, get into that raffle, and an opportunity to hang out with Brian Cranston over the weekend Super Bowl.
That was a great interview. And he told you were right. Did you hear that?
Yes. I saved that, in fact.
That's the ringtone now.
I sent it home to my wife, and Friday night I said, hey, guess who told me I was right?
All right, we'll talk soon, and we'll come back to Barry and Sammy.
If there's news, it's Thanksgiving. If they say the same thing, for better or worse, regardless of what's happening. It's what we do.
Always on time. Los Angeles, always on.
Live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app.
Death toll going up on Dr. Mark live from KFI. 24-hour newsroom, a 7.8 magnitude earthquake has killed at least 2,800 people in Turkey and Syria. CBC's James Longman says strong aftershocks have shaken the area.
As the sun rose, the sheer scope of the devastation has become visible. Reports say more than 100 buildings came down in Turkey. Tremors to be felt in at least 9 cities across the country.
And across the border to the south, a large area has also been devastated. Calls to the new 988 suicide lifeline have spiked across Southern California in the first 6 months, and switching to 3 digits.
If we launched in July, in about a 22.
Eric Spicer Chair VP Sherrington Wilson says calls are also being answered within 13 seconds, much faster than before.
Our team has responded to more than 59,000 calls, 5,000 texts, and 7,800 staff.
Just in LA County, about 5,000 calls come in per month.
And the majority of the time, our actors are able to de-escalate that situation with no further damage.
Nationwide in the first 6 months, more than 2 million 988
Vaccine exemptions granted. Last week, the committee voted to approve all exemptions submitted before last Tuesday. The vote affects more than 4,500 people. The vaccine requirements are still in effect, but exemptions going forward will be reviewed on a case-by-case basis. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen has rejected fears of a recession and says the economy in the U.S. remains strong and resilient. Yellen also said every responsible member of Congress must agree to raise the debt ceiling, adding that it is non-negotiable.
Well, sometimes with going up to the wire, if something in the Congress is always recognized their responsibility needs to be again.
Jones says America has paid all of its bills on time since 1789, not to do so now would produce an economic and financial catastrophe. The federal government hit the current debt ceiling last month, prompting the Treasury Department to step in and take extraordinary measures to make sure the government can keep paying its bills. A new report from a police watchdog agency says 146 police officers in New York City violated police rules during protests over the death of George Floyd. The Civilian Complaints Review Board says these violations include everything from excessive force to not being courteous and using offensive language.
The CCRB said there were hundreds more allegations that could not be investigated because the officers took steps to conceal their identity or they refused to be interviewed.
Now, the spokesman for the NYPD claims the report failed to acknowledge the 22,000 officers addressing riots, chaos, violence, and destruction. George Floyd was killed by a police officer in Minnesota in 2020 during an arrest for a counterfeit $20 bill. And Patriot missile batteries that Poland got from the U.S. last year have been deployed to the country's capital as part of a military exercise. At least 3 ground-to-air missile launchers were seen at an airport in Warsaw. The KFI financial report, the Dow is down actually 41, S&P 500 is down 23, NASDAQ is down 107, and the average price per gallon of regular gas in California is $4.62. Southland weather from KFI, sunny and windy in some places, highs upper 60s for Metro LA, mid to upper 60s in the San Fernando and San Gabriel Valley, 60s in the Antelope Valley, around 70 for inland Orange County, low to upper 60s in the Inland Empire. Right now, 66 in Tustin, 64 in Mission Viejo, 62 in Van Nuys, and 57 in Chatsworth. We're going to a crash on the 15 in the Cajon Pass. From that 15 northbound, logically, hit that 138, got crashy release, blocking the right lane. You guys saw a backup turn away from Kenwood. A little bit of good news in Gray up. 57 northbound before Thomas Canyon Road. That crash still has the carpool and the left lane closed. But the group just opened 2 more lanes. It's still going to be closed from the Imperial Highway. And on the flip side, 57 southbound to Thomas Canyon Road. That crash on the right shoulder. Picked up in Garden Grove, 22 San Harbor Boulevard. Some cardboard and metal debris in the 3 left lanes. Big Steel Beach on the 405 southbound to Steel Beach Boulevard. Sold out car making its way to the right shoulder. And in Culver City, 405 southbound at Washington Boulevard. Disabled vehicle vicious blocking the right lane. KFI and Sterling help get you there faster. I'm getting on it. Look out at the Gary and Shannon Show is brought to you by SolarMax Technology.
Get solar for $49.93 a month, 0 down, 0.99% APR.
Go to SolarMaxTech.com.
How much do you think your home is worth this year? Do you think it's going to be worth the same next year? If you're thinking about borrowing on your home equity, your odds of getting more out of your home is probably higher now than it will be next year. I certainly believe that. Some experts predict that property values might decline over the next few years, making it more challenging for borrowers to tap into that home equity. If you need $75,000 or more, HMS Capital can help you borrow the money you need with the equity you built. So whether you want to consolidate debt, make home improvements, whatever your situation may be, HMS Capital, they have the best solution to help you. No appraisal, credit report fees to apply. I've done 2 mortgages with HMS Capital. Clearly, I'm a fan. I believe they are simply the best at what they do. Call 833-255-5698, 833-255-5698. Visit hmscapital.com. That'll take you from 9 to 9. How was your year day with good staples review? The daytime non-drowsy coughing, aching, fever, sore throat, 9 to none medicine. Use it directly. Termite problems? Search PacificCoastTermite.com or call 800-PACIFIC. More stimulating talk.
And I have radio stations.
Live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. Yes, do I know fans? We did a segment last week where people could ask Layla questions. They post them on Instagram. And one of the questions was, what does Gary smell like?
Really? What did she say?
She said, I don't have a scent.
You do not have a scent.
Because then she asked, do you even wear cologne? And I said, well, not. No, I have some. I wear it if I'm going on a date with my wife.
How old is that cologne?
He bought it for me
19
years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not that one. What are you telling me? But does it go bad? Does it age? Is it like whiskey? It'll just eventually turn it back into water?
I don't know, but I envision you as the guy that has the bottle of cologne for a very large chunk of time, because you don't wear it every day.
I still have Dracar Noir. Is that what
Yeah.
that thing? No, I gave that up.
1993 is alive and well in that house.
What else is going on? Whatever. Oh, my God.
Yes, I knew you were going to be shocked. took you out.
The big story internationally is the earthquake, multiple, that have now hit Turkey and neighboring Syria. The death toll is somewhere over 2,600. They're saying thousands more people were injured. We still do not know even a good idea of how many people are missing because of the number of buildings that collapsed in and around that area.
I was looking at some pictures of the rescuers going through the rubble, and there's one that's particularly effective showing, and it's the rescuer taking a toddler. And you can see on the toddler's face anguish that a toddler should not know what that kind of pain and scared and 7.8 is all about.
So we will see international teams going to Turkey and Syria in an attempt to help find people who may still be alive underneath some of those buildings.
Balloon Gate continues. Now it's on Pentagon officials says the Chinese balloon was 200 feet tall, had a payload the size of a jetliner.
That's where they get the 3 buses from, by the way. Last week it was kind of conflated how big the balloon itself was versus the stuff that it was carrying underneath it. The apparent splashdown.
The weather equipment that it was carrying?
Right, exactly, the weather equipment. The size of the debris field was something like 15 football fields by 15 football fields. I mean, everything's measured in football fields these days as opposed to, say, 30 square miles.
I guess that plays into their whole, we wanted to wait till it was over the water as to not hurt anybody on the ground.
Yeah, but
if that was in fact the case.
But there's a lot of places between Montana and South Carolina where they could have brought that thing down relatively safely.
It's just embarrassing.
There were people. Now I said this earlier. I'm hopeful. I'm optimistic that there was some value to us to let this thing continue to fly. And we were jamming its ability to send information back, hopefully, and then B, also able to glean some sort of information about what they were doing. What were they looking for? What kind of information were they trying to get so that we know what they're looking for?
That would have been the narrative that I wanted to hear right away. We're letting this thing traverse the country because we're learning more than they're learning.
Yeah. Would have been more comfortable. It would have been easier to swallow the balloons flying across the country.
The judge in Alex Murdaugh's double murder trial today ruled to allow the state to present evidence of his alleged financial crimes. This should be absolutely involved in this trial because it's the motive. He was worried that people were catching on to all of his robbing of his law firm, and so he wanted sympathy, and he killed his wife and son to get it.
To the tune of $8.5 million that he was supposedly stealing, not just from the firm, but from the clients of the firm and the money that they had received in different settlements. We saw some pretty cold weather these last couple of days here, which means we were down into, the 50s. In areas of the Northeast, Mount Washington, Friday night, it felt like it was 108 degrees below zero. Now, that's because of the temperature was 46 below, and the wind gusts were as high as 127 miles an hour. So the feel-like temperature of 108 below, that's chilly. The good news is nobody's walking around Mount Washington in the middle of the night like that.
AMC Theaters is changing the way it's going to charge you for your seats when you go to the movies. The prices of the ticket will now be based on seat location. So the seats up front will be cheaper, the more desirable seats in the middle will cost more. They're going to roll out this at all of the roughly 1,000 movie theaters by the end of the year. 3 pricing tiers.
Are you willing to pay that much more for those center seats?
I think this is dumb because I'm still struggling to get back to going to the movie theater. There's still an annoyance with other people in my space when I'm watching a movie after the pandemic. There's still the problem of the people that don't shut up, that are on their phones, that are chewing loudly.
Mm-hmm. You know what they should do is they should rent you 3 sides of a refrigerator box so that when you go and sit down, you can set that thing up around you.
Yeah.
So the only one that's open is the one that looks to the screen. And even then, you got to deal with the people right in front of you, eating green apples and stuff like that. Mammoth Mountain just got its average seasonal snowfall. The storm that we saw over the weekend, 24 inches of fresh powder at Mammoth. So the season total is now over 400 inches at the main lodge. It's an average of 400 inches for snow per season, so they've already hit that average. The record was 668 inches of snow back in 2010, 2011. So,
Eminem's daughter got engaged.
really?
Yes, 27 now. You know, today that her and her boyfriend, Evan McClintock, are getting married. That makes you feel old, doesn't it?
Well, if you need some Valentine's plans, we'll give you an idea of a great opportunity for you to check out Lucia Room, the 2-night Valentine's engagement when you come.
That's big. Well, it's Valentine's Day.
I know. And this is a passion and fuego.
You just took the sexy out.
Oh, sorry. Gary and Shannon will continue in just a moment. Deborah Martin is live in the KFI 24-hour newsroom.
The Speaker of the House will address the looming debt limit crisis later today. Kevin McCarthy did meet with President Biden last week to talk about this, but told reporters that they didn't reach a consensus. China said the U.S. used indiscriminate force in shooting down balloons in China that the U.S. claims is being used for surveillance. The U.S. shot down the surveillance balloon off the Carolina coast Saturday. And as you heard Gary and Shannon talking about, AMC Theater says it will start charging more for seats based on the location, and the pricing starts on Friday. We're going to a crash on the 55 in Santa Ana.
When the 55 dropped out in the sand in the streetcar crash, they weren't trying to get that over to the right shoulder. Also, looked up Garden Road, 22 Center Hollywood Boulevard. They still got to put some cardboard and metal debris in the 3 left lanes. Still tough in Brea, 57 northbound before Town Canyon Road. One crash has the carpool and the left lane blocked. That's going to be slow from the Imperial Highway. Also 57 southbound after Town Canyon Road. That crash clear to the shoulder. And in the downtown, 15 northbound before the 138. The right lane is taken out an accident. It's going to be slow from Whitehorn Road. KFI in the sky helps get you there faster. I'm getting on it. This report is sponsored by CalHope.org. Life is uncertain. It's okay to feel stressed, anxious, worried, or frustrated. CalHope can help. Access CalHope free and secure mental health resources. Call 833-317-4673 or live chat at CalHope.org.
It is no secret that cities add chlorine to your water, but once it gets to your house, you don't want it in your body or drying out your skin and hair. Hey, this is Dean Sharp with the solution, a Life Source water system. Life Source filters all the water in your home, reducing the harsh taste and feel of chlorine and giving you softer skin and hair from every tap. No salt, no maintenance. Get yours today by calling 800-803-2696 or visit LifeSourceWater.com. Life Source, taste and feel the difference. Say that day, you'll be free to sell this. Say I want my medical bills paid, I want my car fixed, I want my money, I want accident wire. AccidentWire.com is the way to go. 800-920-0810. It's in the news every day. Rates are going up, payments going up. You need a one-day smile transformation that you can shopping around the right time. Well, now is that time. Howdy Dental is offering their new teeth in a day. Custom hybrid zirconia teeth with favorable competitive terms that will be beat. Block in your payment plan and get this beautiful, natural-looking smile in just a day. Call Howdy Dental 888-640-SMILE. That's 888-640-SMILE. Restrictions apply. Little Chef here, founder of Service Captain's Plumbing, Heating, and AC. By now, you probably know our technicians are pretty special, but I want you to know our outstanding service doesn't happen on accident. It's no fluke. Nope, it's 100% calculated, pre-planned, and on purpose. For starters, we only hire friendly people who must also pass drug tests and a background check. They follow strict grooming standards, and then they clean them 9 ways to Sunday. When you open the door to a service captain's technician, you're going to like what you find. They're super safe and friendly, and he knows exactly what they're doing. Excellent, there's no accident. It's on purpose. Let us prove it to you. Call Service Captains today to schedule an $88 decision tune-up. Our number is 833-777-7777 or at servicecaptains.com. Addressing hair loss has never been easier thanks to advanced hair restoration, simple one-day treatment. making the call for your free consultation. Call 844-333-HAIR and get $250 off and 250 free hair grafts. AdvancedCare.com. On the Exorcist File podcast, the leading exorcist and demonologist shares stories of disturbing and vicious cases of possession. For the last 2 decades, Father Carlos Martin has encountered evil in nearly every way imaginable. When Hollywood portrayed The Exorcist with levitation, vomiting, spitting at the priest, all of that has not been a movie for me. I have seen that firsthand. Listen to The Exorcist File on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcast. If they're being decent, toxic. It looks like nobody does a background check on who they're renting out to either. Holy moly, don't they think that? Yeah, I know. You get thousands of dollars for one night. Why would you inflict this on your neighbors? I mean, do you have any conscience at all? John and Kim, why would you do this? Live 1 to 4 p.m. on KFI and on demand anytime on the iHeartRadio app.
AM 640 live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. Coming up after Deborah's news at the bottom of the hour, we will get all your latest Grammy news. We'll find out if Ben Affleck's still sitting in a chair somewhere, pissed off. Jason Nathanson, an entertainment reporter over the hill in Hollywood, will join us.
There is a story of this train derailment in Ohio that is causing some consternation near East Palestine, Ohio. Authorities say they are trying to do a controlled chemical release at the site of this train derailment.
That does not sound good.
Yeah, because of the possibility that it could become uncontrolled very quickly. Everyone in that area near this train derailment in East Palestine, Ohio, has been ordered to evacuate. The governor has ordered the release of vinyl chloride to occur this afternoon. The governor addressed residents remaining in the area during the press conference, said he was ordering you to leave. This is a matter of life and death, and if anyone in the area when the fumes are released would risk grave danger of death.
They said that they're going to arrest people who don't evacuate, and that the shrapnel from any explosion could reach as far as 1 mile from the crash site.
60 train cars fell off the tracks when this thing happened on Friday. No injuries were reported. At least 10 of those derailed cars, though, contained combustible materials, vinyl chloride, combustible liquids, butyl acrylate, and benzene residue.
The pictures of the footage are incredible. That doesn't make sense. That was very redundant, but you know what I mean. The overhead pictures here are just wild.
At least one person has been arrested for going around the barricades to look at the cracks. And the mayor says, I don't know why anybody would want to be up there. You're breathing toxic fumes if you're this close. So that's it. Hey, how about $1,000? Here's how you can win it. Now, your chance to win $1,000. You enter the nationwide keywords on our website. Bank, B-A-N-K. Enter it now at KFIAM640.com/app. Powered by Sweet Games Accident Attorney. If ever an accident, winning is everything. Call the winning attorneys at Sweet Games. 800-500-5200. That's 800-500-5200 or sweetgames.com. That keyword goes on the website. Go to KFIAM640.com/cash. And then keep an eye on your email inbox, because that's how they're going to let you know that you won.
Wrestling and love go hand in hand.
Don't they?
They sure do. LA's longest running, most celebrated variety show, Alicia Baboon, has returned. We're talking world-class Mexican masked wrestling, burlesque, aerialist, comedy music, really something for everyone. It's at the Mayan Theater downtown LA. Tickets are on sale now. This will be February 8th and February 9th.
Liz Fairbairn has joined us. She's one of the co-founders of Alicia Baboon. Thanks for coming in today.
Yeah, no problem. Glad to be here. So how did you come up with this idea?
I was dating a Mexican wrestler.
Okay. That's how everybody starts.
He was a stunt double. I'll just do this. I was working on a film in Mexico. He was a stunt double.
Okay.
So we have a little on-set romance, and we ended up talking to I was introduced to her Bishop Uber, and I was in costumes for burlesque.
Yeah.
So 2 nights, this Wednesday and Thursday, the Mayan Theater downtown. Tickets are on sale. It's a 21 plus event, right? So you have to be 21 and older. But tickets anywhere from $45 to $90. I want to read I want to read one line of the script because I think it's perfect. It says, Lisa Bazoom's Valentine's show promised to deliver incendiary burlesque goddesses, twisty contortionists, and death-defying aerialists.
Yeah.
That's so great.
They are very
So is it just the wrestling aspect? I mean, obviously all these other things are going to be. How do you cram all that entertainment into just a couple of nights?
Well, we all have the same format from the very beginning. We're starting our 21st year now.
Wow.
And it's a extremely talented, star burlesque dancer, and then we have a match. Dancer and a match. And we have the commentary, and this time around we have Andy Victor as our co-host.
Oh, really? Cool.
Yes, we do. We're really pleased to have him. Last time was with Terry, who absolutely loved it.
Are there ways for people to check out, sort of preview this stuff before they go, see if they're interested?
Yeah, you can check out our, the best Instagram's really good way to do it. YouTube, we have a lot of stuff on YouTube. Our website is up, and there's stuff to look at. It's not, we're in the process of updating it and fixing it up. But yeah, those are three ways that you can take a look.
Do you have people that come to the show and say, I want to get involved in this? How can I get involved?
Everybody wants you to wrestle or dance. We have ring girls, so girls can get involved without, like, intensive training.
Right.
But everything else is intensive training.
I bet.
Yeah. You don't want to throw lifting in the ring with Johnny room.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to do that. That would be awesome.
Being a ring girl sounds cool.
You did a cool job.
You could do it.
I think I've aged out of the ring girl.
I don't know. Nope.
That's a decent. How about that?
You just stand up a little taller. And you take this on the road too, right? I mean, it's a traveling show.
Yes.
And that, I mean, it's wildly.
We go
Some of the reviews that I see are pretty crazy.
We did a tour of Australia. We've been to Japan. We went up and down the east and west coast. We made a little home in Chicago for a while.
Yeah.
It was really expensive to travel.
Yeah.
But we have some things. I mean, you're doing it all.
A video game.
Yeah, they're announcing it on the phone. I've been told that I did not.
We have a thing.
So it's just
It's not because we did an internet.
Okay.
vegan.
Oh, that's going to be so many words.
It's lawsuit.
Oh, wow.
Really? That would be great. We won't spill the secret here, but that would be really cool.
It's happening. You know what announcement on the
That is very cool.
You know what I love is this is quintessential Los Angeles.
It is, and we are being hired to bring quintessential Los Angeles to Austin.
That's very cool.
So we have these things that people all over the world.
Yeah.
So,
Is it as well received? I mean, you mentioned these other places, Australia and Japan, you've had success here. Is it just out of curiosity people are going to see it, or is it something that they've known about and they're finally being able to celebrate it in their home country?
well, after 20 years of international press, we frequently have Getty Images and AP and other major outlets from cover the show. So it's gone around the world. So, people know about it. They're excited to see it. And hopefully, we'll get a chance.
Are you still friends with the Mexican wrestler?
Yeah.
Love her.
It was fun. It was a fun
last
7 years.
Yeah.
It lasted 10 years.
Yeah. There's a lot of guys, when they become stunt doubles, they have a lot going on.
Mexican wrestlers do not like getting their girlfriend to come to Boston.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I can see where that.
All the other wrestlers do.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
That's like the F-22 pilot who shot down a balloon this weekend.
You gotta be a big man to have your lady be a boss.
So they can leave, but that's about it. The memes are great, aren't they?
Rich Fairbairn again, Lucia Baboom, the two-night Valentine's engagement is this Wednesday and Thursday, the 8th and 9th at the Mayan Theater, downtown LA. Tickets are on sale. Again, 21 plus, but an absolute blast of a time is what it looks like.
And we're very close to going out Thursday.
Oh,
If you want to come Thursday, get on it.
Lucia Baboom, Wednesday, Thursday at the Mayan Theater. Liz, thanks for coming in. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Let's see, oh yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun, and I think it may end in a felony for me. So I'm in. Jerry King will continue the Grammy roundup when we return. Deborah Mark is in the KFI 24-hour newsroom. Family members of the three people found shot to death inside their home in Montclair nearly a week ago have spoken out about the family's tragedy. George and Sonia Ramirez were to celebrate their 50th anniversary next month. David, their son, was also killed, leaving his teenage daughters devastated.
Most loving grandparents, great-grandparents, and it was awful. And my dad, always trying to become better for the family, and protect us in every way.
Yesterday, they set up a GoFundMe campaign to help with the cost of funeral. A body has been found at 17th Street in Broadway in downtown LA. The body was found after midnight and is the latest in a series of killings in the area. A woman was found stabbed to death in downtown LA early yesterday on South Main Street. She's been identified only as a woman in her 30s. 2 hours later, another woman in her 30s was found shot to death in her car at 5th and Wall Street. The news is brought to you by Three James Accident Attorneys. A man in Beaumont accused of dousing his partner in lighter fluid and setting her on fire is wanted for attempted murder. Police say a woman was being treated at a hospital with serious burns to 30% of her body. The attack is reported Friday morning, and officials say that Nicholas Norman is wanted on charges of attempted murder, mayhem, arson, torture. Anyone with information is asked to contact Beaumont Police. Investigators in Germany have arrested 48 people and shut down an encrypted communication service that was used as a secure channel for organized crime. Officials say the channel was particularly used in the drug trade. Cops say more than 70 properties were searched in Germany, the Netherlands, Belgium, and Poland 5 days, and the arrests were made. They say those arrested include users, operators, and administrators of the service. And Pope Francis has been backed by the ceremonial head of the Anglican Communion and the top Presbyterian minister in calling for gay people to be welcomed by their churches. After returning from South Sudan yesterday, the Pope said criminalizing people with homosexual tendencies is an injustice.
The Presbyterian Right Reverend Ian Greenfield said, quote, "It's nowhere in the gospel where he sees anything other than Jesus is recognized."
Frank Carson, Pope, comments the laws against homosexuality are unjust. Pope says condemning someone like that is a sin. We're going to the 57 next.
Here's the problem scenario. Pay your homeowner's insurance premium every month, right? And then you need that homeowner's insurance. Because something happened, a broken pipe in your ceiling or the toilet upstairs overflow, whatever it is, damage, the wall, the floor, everything. So you open the claim with the insurance company to find out that adjuster's going to pay you so little, you wouldn't be able to repair the damage. This is when you call Abner Jack, because Abner Jack is going to look out for you. He's a public insurance adjuster, which means he is on your side. And while you can try to negotiate with the insurance company yourself, you're going to find pretty quickly it's not that simple. Abner Jack will negotiate on your behalf to make sure you get the best possible outcome, not the insurance company. Abner and his team have been dealing with insurance companies for years. They have the experience, they have the industry know-how that you need on your side. Also rated 5 stars on Yelp and Google and Better Business Bureau. No one messes around with Abner Jack and his team. So give Abner a call, 818-917-5256, 818-917-5256, or visit AbnerJack.com, ABNERGAC, AbnerJack.com, or call them directly, 818-917-5256.
Background weather from KFI sunny and windy in some places, highs up to 60s for Metro LA, mid to upper 60s in the San Fernando and San Gabriel Valley, 50s in the Antelope Valley, around 70 for Inland Orange County, low to upper 60s in the Inland Empire. Right now 63 in La Habra and 59 in Laguna Niguel. Back we go to 57 in Brea.
From the 57 northbound before you get to Connor Canyon Road, that track still has the carpool and the left lane blocked. It's been going on for a couple of hours now. The other lanes are open, but it is really heavy coming away from the Imperial Highway. And then on the flip side, on the 57 south side of Lambert, got a hit and run time indicator right shoulder. Huge trouble in the Cajon Pass as well. 15 northbound before you get to the 138. That accident, rollover accident, has the two right lanes blocked. It is basically stopped coming away from Penwood Avenue. Steel Beach 405 southbound for Steel Beach Boulevard, got the stall reported in the right lane, and it came in a 55 southbound in the side, and that three-car crash clearing to the shoulder. KFI in the sky helps get you there faster. I'm getting on in. This year is the year to learn a new language with Rosetta Stone. No matter what inspires you to learn a language, travel, work, family, or just for fun, the Rosetta Stone app makes it easy to get started and stay motivated to reach your goals. Right now, get a lifetime unlimited subscription with forever access to all 25 of Rosetta Stone's languages for 40% off. Visit rosettastone.com today and save 40%. Rosetta Stone, how language is learned.
Termites in Southern California are here year-round. They'll happily eat your house, and they don't stop when they infest your home. Call Pacific Coast Termites for a free inspection before the termites start doing their damage. Now, certain restrictions apply, but the vast majority of people get that infection. And you're probably stuck in your house anyway, so choose a company that can treat your home while you're there. There's no tenting, there's no double bagging your food, no pet sitting. The technicians are up to date on the latest safety precautions. Maintain a safe distance when they inspect your home, and of course wearing protective gear when inside. Mention KFI, get 10% off the no tenting termite treatment, 2-year guarantee. Call 800-PACIFIC, 800-PACIFIC. Visit PacificCoastTermite.com, 800-PACIFIC.
Feels so right. Feels so right.
The clean, friendly way.
Dangerous and accident? Visit superwomansuperman.com.
KFI AM 640.
And iHeartRadio station.
Download the free iHeartRadio app for all your music, radio, and podcasts. Everywhere on the iHeartRadio app.
China's spy balloons are just a thing. There are 3 suspected Chinese spy balloons over the continental U.S. during the Trump administration, only discovered after Biden took office, according to a senior administration official.
What that happened if they happened, but we didn't know about it until 3 years later?
Is there one outside the window right now?
Yeah. Hey, China. Hey, girl.
Did you look it off?
Maybe.
There's more concern over the train in East Palestine, Ohio. This is a train that actually derailed on Friday, but is causing some concern today because the governor, Mike DeWine, has said that they're going to try to start to allow some of the hazardous chemicals to be released. That is not good because Mike DeWine said you could take great if you stay in the area. Those in other nearby areas could face severe injury, including skin burns, serious lung damage. They have about a 2-square-mile area they said that you've got to get out of. This is also not as simple as just saying leave, apparently, because that's supposed to happen maybe this right about now. It's 3:30 Eastern time is when he said it's going to happen. They're urging everyone in the area, actually ordering them to leave. The vinyl chloride is the chemical that they're concerned about. Police will try to vent vinyl chloride from 5 train cars into a ground trench. The rail company said the controls released the chemicals could burn for 1 to 3 hours, and it's not clear when people are going to be allowed back into their homes. Those cars have been burning since Friday, and they're trying to keep it under control, unless they're trying not to allow what would be an uncontrolled explosion also.
Well, I saw Ben Affleck's face, and I said to myself, Ben, I get it. I didn't watch any of the Grammys. I kind of saw some of the red carpet stuff on socials, but those things are just long-winded and drawn out, and everyone's full of themselves, and I see you, Ben. I see you, I feel you. The opposite of Ben Affleck is our friend Jason Nathanson, a reporter over at Hill in Hollywood, who just loves
I don't know if that's a compliment.
It's not.
Ben Affleck, people like him, and he's very handsome, so to be the opposite of him.
Well, I just mean in terms of enjoyment of the event.
Yeah.
I'm pretty miserable and very sober.
I like the event, so like,
exactly.
For the most part. Benny Miller.
So you get all excited, you pick out your pocket squares, it's a whole thing.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. Absolutely. Before we get into the business of it, which one did you go with? I went with it was a silver kind of flowery pattern, little pink flowers and things like that. Matching pocket square. The shoes, though, I was really proud of, which you can check out on my Instagram.
From Instagram?
Yeah. So, Shannon, I think you already commented.
Oh, well then.
You already got it. So, obviously, it's memorable for you. Thanks for that.
Where?
How much stories?
Oh,
stories. That's what it was.
Oh, yeah, I love that picture. Why have you got a hard coat?
You're the second person to ask me that. I don't know.
I'm got to post that. I don't think it's a great picture.
Pictures of just myself.
Well, guess what? Today's a new day.
Today we're going to learn a lot.
You want me to post it? I'll post it. I'll put it on my...
Obviously, Beyonce's nice in terms of she is now the most awarded Grammy winner. Yeah, I mean, yes. So that's obviously a big deal. But to do it while losing the big three, which they don't want to give her album of the year for some reason, it's just it's a weird thing. But you're in the club. Obviously, you have the most Grammys of all time. But when it comes to the major awards, you want to put you over there. It's a very strange thing. It's the way the Grammys have treated hip hop and rap for years as well. People have said that there's a racial component to it. I don't know if that's the case or not, but it is a weird thing that she now has 32 Grammys, the most of anybody ever, and she can't win Album of the Year for projects that are critically acclaimed and culturally significant. It seems to make no sense. But whatever the case, you didn't see it on her face because she was up and dancing to everything. It didn't matter who was performing. She, Taylor Swift, Rizzo, Adele, the four of them were having a great old time just dancing and having fun. How long do you think it'll be that you are writing George Schulte on your chest? If he was the previous record holder. I get George because it's easier. I like George instead of Hungarian. That's fine. And I am not Hungarian, so I'm gonna go with George. Agree to disagree. Yes. The other one I love the shot of Bonnie Raitt being absolutely flabbergasted and surprised by her win. As we all were, so the song Just Like That was won Song of the Year, which when they played it, they announced that she wins, and then they played the song. That was the first time my record out. I knew she did because I knew she had nominations. But for Song of the Year, I mean, it was the longest of long shots. Nobody, and that's where, the Grammys are usually pretty good when it comes to the voters. They actually sit down and they listen to the stuff, they listen to all the submissions and everything. But for that one today, for her to see Harry Styles with Rizzo and Beyonce and Adele and Taylor Swift and everybody else, I mean, the look on her face, you just saw it. She was shocked, and when she came backstage, she was just shocked, and she talked about how she's not known as a songwriter, and so for her to win Song of the Year, which is a songwriting win, after all these years, was just nobody thought it was going to happen. Let's talk about Sam Smith. Yes, Sam Smith and Kim Petras, the song Unholy, which won the best pop duo performance, I believe. And when they won, Kim Petras got up there and she said that she gave the whole speech, and she said that Sam Smith left her to give that speech because she was the first transgender person to win that award. And then they performed the song Unholy, which Madonna told us was going to be crazy racy and
oh my God. And then I don't think that it necessarily was. No. It was a little devilish in its imagery.
Well, have you seen his new video, him and his friends, or what have you?
I have not seen that.
Oh, well, it's worth a Google.
That's worth checking out. I just like Kim Patrick came backstage, and obviously big night for her and for representation and things like that. But what she was most interested in was A, getting drunk, and B, saying that she could drink, take a shot out of the actual Grammy itself.
Really?
Those were her two big goals last night, and I definitely she did. I'm just going to go ahead and say that she probably made that happen.
Were there any magical moments for you personally?
The hip hop extravaganza, the 50th anniversary, which if you haven't seen, go back and watch. I mean, I remember watching with you guys the Super Bowl, the halftime show that they did last year, which was really good. This topped that night. Really? Yeah. Oh. It was so good because the genre of rap lends itself to quick cuts between songs, right? Every 10 seconds, the DJ playing a new song in a club or whatever like that. We're used to hearing rap like that. And for them to do it live with more than 30 people actually on stage, it was an amazing performance. And for 15 minutes. So it was Super Bowl halftime show size. And just to watch all those, like everybody, Grandmaster Flash comes out and everybody goes crazy. And then, Queen Latifah comes out and everybody goes crazy. Method Man, Nicky Elliott, and just each one was building and building and building. That's maybe the best Grammy moment that I've ever seen in covering it. Wow. Yeah, I'm great. It was real. Go back and check it out here.
All right, I'm going to check that out. You check out Not Here to Make Friends with Sam Smith.
I feel like you're getting the better end of the deal.
I am. So text me your response to that.
I do like Sam Smith. I do too. It's good music.
I can't wait to hear what you think.
Jason, thank you as always. Oh, you're very welcome. Jason Mason tonight over the hill in Hollywood from the Grammy Club.
Mixtape Monday when we return to Gary Sam.
Deborah Mark is live in the KFI 24-hour newsroom.
At least 5 homes in the Skyline housing development in Santa Clarita have been evacuated following a landslide that sent some backyard retaining walls tumbling down the hillside. That landslide happened yesterday. And a Gallup poll has found most Americans continue to support Ukraine's efforts to reclaim territory from Russia. And you heard Gary and Shannon and Jason Rubin been talking about Beyonce has broken the record for the most Grammy wins of all time, 232 last night. Top-line weather from KFI, sunny and windy in some places, highs in 50s to around 70s. This report brought to you by Santa Monica Buick GMC. From the Southern California Toyota Dealers Traffic Center, let's go places. We're going to a crash on the 91 in Anaheim Hills. From the 91 westbound, right before you get to the 241, that crash is blocking the fast track lane. And on the flip side, 98 sound just past the 241. You got a sleeper operation that's slowing you down. You've already got away from the Imperial Highway on the brakes all the way to the Green River. Then Brea, 57 northbound Fort Thomas Canyon Road, that wreck still has partial and the left lane block is heading from the Imperial Highway. And then Santa Fe Springs, just up on south of Telegraph Road, they reported a hit and run over on the right shoulder and in the Cajon Pass, 15 northbound. Right before the 138, the two right lanes are still taken out from that earlier wreck. Three to stop coming away from Kenwood Avenue. KFI in the sky helps get you there faster. I'm Jane Harmon.
This report is sponsored by the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation. The Crohn's and Colitis Foundation has been at the forefront of inflammatory bowel disease research and care for over 50 years. Learn more about research, education, and support at Crohn'sColitisFoundation.org. Santa Monica Buick GMC. Until Tuesday, get a free no-charge maintenance package with every new vehicle sold at Santa Monica Buick GMC, home of Denali'ville, USA. Santa Monica Buick GMC.com. Contractor license 1047-781. Here are some homeowners. We fit together. One of our team review the maintenance, so we help repair breakdowns by performing 6 critical adjustments for just $129. Another one is warm for our new drains for just $80 with a 30-foot drain set. We're on call 24/7, 365 days a year. And our drain cleaner service is just $80. So nice and satisfied. Little air conditioning and plumbing. CLEPTL.com. We do things the right way, not the easy way. There's 6,000 seats in the Greek Theater. They're sold out. It's very popular. Are they charging free tickets? Will people cry? Will there be organ music? Family members coming up and what other mountain lions? Yeah, there's 222. Please
people retrieve very well. They don't know how to process that emotion.
Well, to go from the high of Gustavo Dudamel birthday
Uh-huh.
to the low
Of remembering
remembering Mount Lion. It's tough on a rebound like that.
No, songs are very healing people. You know? More so than you would ever know. Sensitive mind.
Well, this is sort of the continuation of Mixtape Monday. Play that thing with us.
There's another mixtape Monday. Oh, if it was Monday, oh, it is. It's another mixtape Monday.
Oh, I wanted to play this because it made no sense. Jason Nathan was referring to Bonnie Ray's song Just Like That everybody was listening to yesterday, before yesterday. Not true.
It's like that your life is saying, I haven't looked away. What's it about? My boy, my children, my that's when it's like to me. Hey, what? What's that about?
Feels like it's going to be a sad song. Let's check it out. I don't know.
What's it called again?
It's called Just Like That.
Isn't that the name of Terry Bradshaw's reboot? Sex and the City reboot?
Oh, yeah. I hope that's not, I hope that there's no connection.
I was at that time in my life.
When everybody else was too. Linkin Park was celebrating the 20th anniversary of their second album by releasing their soon-to-be unreleased song called Lost. Chester Bennington lead vocals, of course. This will feature his voice, who's been dead for some time. Lost was a new, never-before-heard song from the Meteora archives, wrote the band. Says, when I'm alone, I'm lost in these memories, living behind my illusions. It's very Linkin Park.
Okay, I just did a deep dive on Bonnie Raitt, just like that lyric.
Yeah.
It's about a transplant.
What?
It's about her losing her son, but somebody else got his heart. And she reconnects with him.
Through his heart?
Well, yeah, because he tried to track her down, the family of the person who died, and he was the beneficiary of the heart.
Wow.
We know a story like this.
Yes. So we didn't write a song about it. Maybe we should have. We would have won a Grammy.
He says, and I laid my head upon his chest, and I was with my boy again.
What are you doing?
I
have feelings.
I'm sorry for making all
On Monday afternoon, geez. Come on. Solomon is the CEO of Goldman Sachs.
I love this.
And while he gets paid $25 million as CEO of Goldman Sachs, he has a sidekick. He's a DJ at festivals and parties. And he won the right to remix I Want to Dance with Somebody by Whitney Houston.
I can't get enough of this song in any form. I can't believe you're not dancing. How do you not dance? Not dance. Not dancing.
Pretty easily. I don't know if you've met me, but
That's not true.
because if I do dance, people go, what are you doing? They don't go, oh, look at that guy dancing. They say, he's not well.
I've seen you dance as many times as a man and a woman.
Say that again. You see me dance.
As a man and
Oh,
as
that's
a woman.
and a woman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's not true. We did meet that transitioning person in Philadelphia
Yes.
when we got on the pole.
Does that count as dancing as both?
Yes.
Okay. Unlike a cover version, by the way, of I Want to Dance with Somebody, a remix can only legally be done with permission from the publisher, which is what David Solomon had to get. David Solomon's 61 years old and still, well, I mean, which would mean that he was in his 20s when the song, 30s, I guess, early 30s. He was granted permission to remix it by Larry Mestel, whose music company Primary Wave is a client of Goldman Sachs. And there's some concern that maybe that relationship is what greased the skids to get this guy the right to do marketing.
I mean, I like this person.
Very good modern take on it.
Well, Blake Shelton's fans are having a hard time dealing with the fact that season 23 will be his last season as a coach on The Voice. Now we're learning that his live shows will no longer be what they used to be.
Not even as frequent as they were.
Scale things back. He used George Strait as a guide for how he's going to tour.
He's going to do the George Strait model.
Right. Man and guitar.
I mean, it still looks like a pretty good tour. It starts next week in Nebraska and makes its way all the way through the end of March in Buffalo, New York. But it is mostly the Midwest and East Coast stuff.
Are you crying?
It's not crying. It's not crying. Yeah.
You didn't come back from that Bobby Ray song, did you? I lost you in that moment. Not even Whitney can bring you back.
Okay, but how many songs like that? There's songs that you hear and you're like, I can never hear that song again. I'm going to start crying.
I would make a strong case for Don't Take the Girl.
Okay.
Pitching the Girl.
I think so. That sounds about right.
It's a good one. That one almost always makes me cry.
But I was just going to say that there are several songs that are super emotional like that,
Yeah.
but I don't feel it. And that song, if I were to listen to the whole Bonnie Raitt song, that would be one that I would feel.
I know. I thought it was a bit, and now I'm learning it's not a bit, that you're like seriously emotionally traumatized. I apologize. I didn't mean to take you to that level on a Monday. But here we are.
And what are we going to do about it?
Maybe watch a comedy special.
Where did you go, by the way?
I went to Hawaii.
That sounds like fun.
It was beautiful. Apparently the weather was terrible right up until we got there. And it was nice. It was just beautiful the whole time. Sunny, 78. I was such a lazy POS. I did nothing. But you know what? For 6 months I've been doing a lot. Okay, running around.
It's time for a little bit of scan time.
So I need to just have some sitting time.
4 couches and
oh my God.
No
It'll
idea.
never be the same. It'll never be the same.
So, I mean, they have to do with hurricanes and stuff like that, but they don't have to do.
They didn't know they'd built the Abbey Lounge there, did they? They were not prepared for this, baby.
John and Ken will continue to update you on a couple of these big stories. Number one is the train derailment in East Palestine in Ohio. We're going to start venting, hopefully a controlled venting of some of the chemicals that were in there in an attempt to prevent an uncontrolled explosion about all of it. And then also the death toll from the earthquake in Turkey and Syria climbed up past 3,400 now. We got an update out of Ankara. Again, a massive 7.8 earthquake that was then followed up by a 7.5, and I've been getting several updates on other aftershocks of magnitude. I thumbed through a little bit of it, yeah.
Oh, wow, it's depressing, isn't it?
It looks awful. They look awful. The pad thai, I think it was, that has like a peanut butter packet and
butter and hot sauce or ramen. Yeah, I guess I'm going to put all my clams of drug running away because I'm not going to be long for this life with this cooking food.
you do not want to have to eat that. All right, John and Ken shows up next. We'll see you tomorrow. Stay dry, everybody. And listening to the Gary and Shannon show. Gary and Shannon. Hopefully that was a good time. Okay, bye-bye now. Nothing gets past us. We are on it.
KSI.
KOST-HD2.
Los Angeles, Orange County.
Live everywhere on the NR radio app.
Fatal earthquake on Dr. Mars live from the KFI 24-hour newsroom. Turkey's president says at least 45 countries have offered aid as the death toll from a 7.8 magnitude earthquake has grown to more than 3,400 people. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre says the U.S. is working with officials in Turkey and NATO to provide aid in Syria. The president authorized an immediate U.S. response in addition to the U.S. personnel currently on the ground. We are in the process of deploying additional teams to support Turkish search and rescue efforts. U.S. Geological Survey for the 7.5 aftershock hit more than 60 miles away. Thousands of buildings and hospitals were reported collapsed in Turkey and Syria. In Turkey alone, more than 5,600 buildings were destroyed. The news is brought to you by the County Dental Implant Center. The LAPD is asking for help identifying a hit-and-run driver who killed a man in Van Nuys. The man's brother tells KCLA he wants the driver to come forward.
I know this can't be easy for you. I know you're probably scared. I know that it's not, it has been a difficult thing that has happened, and you have to answer for what you say.
Officials say a dark-colored car was traveling westbound on Oxnard Street Friday when it hit the man. First responders say he died at the scene. A reward of up to $50,000 is being offered for the identification, apprehension, and conviction of the driver. A man accused of punching student athletes at a girls' high school basketball game in Corona has been charged with multiple counts of firearms assault and making criminal threats. The stepfather of one of the players allegedly punched 3 girls during the game before leaving the building. South City guy was arrested Thursday after he then threatened students with a gun while driving away from the school. Doctors have started giving physicals to thousands of people at the Orange County Fairgrounds to help the nation get a health checkup.
The national survey of randomly selected people. That often the Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Richard Fish, says the National Health and Nutrition Examination Survey shows Orange County is one of 15 counties. It helps to inform policymakers and scientists, physicians, in what are the key metrics that we need to pay attention to with the goal to keep people healthy. And we try to practice wellness and not the care. If there's expensive, well, there's not so expensive. About 5,000 people who were notified by mail will take part in the roughly 6-week survey process. In Orange County, Corbin Carson, KFI News.
Southern California has seen an almost 22% increase in calls in the first 6 months since the suicide lifeline switched to 988. Edie Hurst, crisis care VP Sherry and Welch team says almost 60,000 calls, 5,000 texts, and 7,800 tasks were answered. Approximately 93 to 95% of calls are de-escalated right on the call, or the chat, or the text, with no further intervention needed. The call was typically answered within 13 seconds, and on average lasts about 13 minutes. Nationwide, more than 2 million 988 calls, texts, and chats were answered in the first 6 months since the crisis line switched to 3 digits. For the employees in LA who have not been vaccinated against COVID-19 are getting a big break.
The city will grant all religious and medical exemptions filed before last Tuesday. The move affects more than 4,500 employees. A committee made up of LA Mayor Bass and 4 council members voted to give the city employees a break last week. Despite those city employees of LA are still required to be vaccinated against COVID-19. Exemptions submitted after last Tuesday will be reviewed on a case-by-case basis. Boyd Trolley, KFI News.
A former prospective staffer to New York Republican Representative George Santos says he has filed a police report and House ethics complaint, saying Santos made an unwanted sexual event toward him. The man says Santos texted inappropriately January 25th before inviting him into his home, adding his husband was out of town.
If there was remote any part of that was true, he should have went with that, and thanks for a job that was excited from him for being accused of being exactly what he was like.
Santos says he is 100% denies the accusations. He says his office is in the process of hiring a man when they discovered wiretapping charges against him from his time as a local news reporter. Santos says the man also taped the conversation between them and gave recordings to the news website Huffington Memo. The KFI financial report, the Dow is closing down 36, S&P 500 down 25, NASDAQ down 119, and the average price for the gallon of regular gas in California is 4.62. Southland weather from KFI, sunny and windy in some places, highs in the upper 60s for Metro LA, mid to upper 60s in the San Fernando and San Gabriel valleys, 50s Antelope Valley, around 70 for Inland Orange County, low to upper 60s in the Inland Empire. So we have 60 in COP, 67 in Buena Park, 60 in the Boyd Hills, and 64 in Truman Oaks. We are going to go into the 405 in Inglewood. Sunday 405 North Boulevard, Los Angeles. That off-ramp is going to be closed northbound and southbound there due to some police activity at the end of the pursuit. And it started looks like an illusion park on the 110 northbound Silvergate Road was going on between Hill Street to Stadium Way. The right lane closed until 3 p.m. In San Fe Springs, 605 southbound Telegraph Road, that class over on the right shoulder. In Brea, 57 northbound before Town Canyon Road, that left still blocking the carpool and the left lane. They're about to cut this is cleared, but it's still going to be stacked a ton of ways from Imperial Highway. And then 57 southbound Brea Canyon Road, got a class there over on the right shoulder. Good news going to Cone Pass, 15 northbound before the 138. That earlier was clear. The two right lanes are open. Still going to see some delays sometime Wood Avenue. KFI in the sky helps get you there faster. Crimson Hunt.
AT&T DirecTV just removed Newsmax from 13 million homes. AT&T owns DirecTV, and this is the second conservative channel they removed in a year. Meanwhile, DirecTV is still keeping what they call 22 liberal news channels on. So if you're angry about the censorship, Newsmax wants you to speak up. Newsmax is the fourth highest rated cable news channel. DirecTV isn't taking off the other liberal channels. Ron DeSantis says Newsmax is targeted, and it's wrong. Newsmax says AT&T is acceptable. If you care about censorship, seriously consider canceling your DirecTV and AT&T service. And if you're a DirecTV or an AT&T customer, call 877 Newsmax and they'll connect you. You can contact your congressman to complain about censorship. Call 877 Newsmax. They'll connect you too. Millions are joining Newsmax's fight. Show your support. Call 877 Newsmax now.
As a walking pharmacist, I talk to people all the time about little tips and tricks for filling their Medicare prescriptions, like taking advantage of Walgreens 90-day refills to save them a trip, or using refill by Sam, which is super easy and right on your phone. And for anybody worried about prescription costs, I say, hey, you got this, with low-cost copays on many medications.
Let's talk about making things easier. Walgreens is here. So your way in things at walgreens.com/medicare. They unnecessarily 15 cents treatment.
What have you heard about probiotics? You're probably wrong. I eat yogurt. Oh, I don't need to take a probiotic. Probiotics? They don't really work. It's time to learn the truth about probiotics and join the Align Healthy Gut Tuna. Align has probiotics to naturally help relieve occasional bloating, gas, and abdominal discomfort. Try Align probiotics for a month and see how great a healthy gut can feel. Get $2 off your first month of Align at alignprobiotics.com.
Call Service Champions for an $88 prescription heater tune-up or visit ServiceChampions.com. More stimulating talk.
And I have a radio station.
Hey, it's recording live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. It'll be on in a few minutes. There's a lot going on. Very entertaining weekend. We got the past contest coming up in about 20 minutes. And we have a keyword. I'm looking at keywords, but I'm not going to tell you the keyword yet. We'll find out in about 20 minutes, and then you enter the magic word on the website, and you can win $1,000. Next hour, we are no, not next hour. It's going to be the 3 o'clock hour. We're going to talk with an anonymous man who witnessed the entire accident in Dana Point. The driver that crashed into the cyclist, killing him. Daniel Evan Smith is the driver's name. He's being held on $1 million bail. He was charged on Friday. He's accused of killing Dr. Michael Mamone Wednesday afternoon on PTH Found Valley Parkway. If you watched any television news within the last 2 days, you probably saw this terrible video of Mamone and his bike flying through the air, struck from behind. And then, this is what really stunned everyone. After hitting Mamone with his car, Benroy Smith, who's driving a white Lexus, jumped out of his car and stabbed Mamone with a large, long knife. People at the scene thought it was a machete. And, accidents involving bicyclists happen, but then when he jumped out and started stabbing Mamone, and I don't know if Mamone died from his accident injuries or stabbing injuries or both, but nobody. Anyway, Todd Spitzer, of course, his department is prosecuting the state Orange County DA. And we're going to talk with somebody who says they saw the whole thing happen. Can you imagine? That's coming up. And I am guessing, Deborah, you're very sorry that you didn't take that trip to Turkey this week. I know that you had plans.
God.
Believe that?
No. And you wonder why I'm so fearful of earthquakes. At 7.8, more than 3,400 people are reported dead. And that death toll is going to go up. There's still tons of
There's tons of missing.
Yeah,
They felt the earthquake at seismograph far away, screaming.
and then a 7.5 after that. I mean, that's like trying to wrap my head around that. That's just the aftershock.
Wow.
I know.
A lot of pent-up energy in it. So this is what you fear.
Yes.
Because you travel a lot.
I do.
We've never talked about you travel to the kinds of countries where you could have.
I know. So I was supposed to go to Japan, and I know that there are a lot of earthquakes in Japan, and I have been to Turkey before. This is just terrifying. I really don't know what to do.
But then tornadoes happen.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want to deal with tornadoes either.
All right, the balloon. We got it. You're sitting there waiting on for 5 minutes. I've been waiting the entire Thursday. When are you going to shut up and talk about the balloon? It was my favorite story the whole weekend. It's so much fun. We had a driving trip to go up to San Francisco to see one of our sons. And we took Interstate 5, and that is just dreadful highway. It's long, it's boring. I do enjoy the cows standing waiting for their demise. The air is a color air shouldn't be. Now, so there's nothing new in the car, but I'm following the balloon story. And my wife was driving. I was just watching all the coverage on my iPad, giving her news updates. I couldn't get enough of it. And then by the time we got to the hotel room, they'd blown it up. And it was the live KFI microphone. Was that the scene there? And so, the story gets covered, and pushes in 20 different directions, and then everybody starts lying and covering up, and they've got their cover story, and their double talk, and the misdirection plays. And I realize these big stories and the aftermath, if there isn't anybody I trust, there is not one straight shooting media source where I know, okay, I'm going to call up this site, I'm going to watch this. I just started to think of it. There's not one person, if I see on TV, I thought, okay, this guy's going to tell me what happened. This is nobody I trust. So I started trying to read everything and just filter it through my own deprogramming machine. I try to deprogram my brain from all the propaganda in the air. And I see that this balloon was first sighted in Alaska, not this past Saturday, the Saturday before, January 28th. This balloon was tracked by the U.S. government as far back as Saturday the 28th. It was north of the Aleutian Islands. Now, since how far Alaska sticks out with the Aleutian Islands, at one point there's only 12 miles between the U.S. and Russia. Interesting, this balloon did not stray into Russian airspace because they know what happens if it strays into Russian airspace. But in America, I guess the Chinese leaders watching all the video of how we treat the Mexican border decided, you know what? I'll come into Alaska. They're not going to stop me. And we did it. So that balloon traveled over the whole expanse of Alaska, which is a huge state, drifted into Canada. Of course, the Canadians aren't. It finally drops down into Montana. And what do you know? It's we're not far from our military and nuclear bases where we house tons of ICBM missiles. And the balloon is just going, no, because it's highway to keep things done. Okay? They call it an airship. It was the balloon itself was 200 feet tall. So think about this. That big white globe was 20 stories high. And the equipment was carrying down below, you know, the brains of the operation, that thing was as long as a jet aircraft. You know, it's difficult to understand the proportions because it was so high in the sky, 60,000 feet in the air. Now, the highest a commercial jet will fly is about 42,000 feet. Most of the time it's in the mid-30s. So you take your average commercial jetliner and you almost double the distance up. And after 60,000 feet, and it's got like a jet airplane hanging beneath a 20-story airship. And they're up to no good. They're absolutely up to no good. But we let them in, it floated down to Montana, and then continued to the Midwest as we go to Missouri. And finally somehow took a left turn and went off the coast of the Carolinas where we shot it down. Talk more about this coming up on the John and Ken Show. There's a lot of fascinating stuff that we don't know yet. And we're going to find out. There's already a House Investigative Committee on the scene. We have Deborah Mark live at 24-hour KFI News.
Authorities in Ohio said they plan to release toxic chemicals from 5 cars of a derailed train in Ohio to reduce the threat of an explosion. A new poll from the Associated Press North Center for Public Affairs research shows the majority of Democrats now think the one term is plenty for President Biden, despite his insistence. It shows just 37% of Democrats say they want Biden to take a second term. That's down from 52% in the weeks before last year's midterm election. And the ad space for the Super Bowl has officially sold out. This was the 2 ads that sold for more than $7 million for just a 30-second spot. We're going to go to the 91. We have a crash in Yorba Linda. It's going to be on the 91 westbound right before you get to the 241 and Bad Rapids. You're blocking the left lane, the fast track lane. So it's going to be clear from Green River. And if you're on the eastbound side, you got a sleeper operation that is going on. You're tapping the brakes from the Imperial Highway over to Green River. In Anaheim, 91 westbound to 57 North Connector. Heads up prevention from stairs during the lanes of that transition. Yeah, 55 north on Evansville Avenue, got a stalled car blocking the right lane. It's backed up from the 405. The good news in Brea, 57 north on before Thomas Canyon Road. That earlier crash is clearing all lanes of certain open up. It's still going to be closed out from the Imperial Highway as well. KFI in the sky. Let's get you there faster. I'm Gene Hartman.
This report is sponsored by Blindster.com. Hi, I'm Blindster.com. I started Blindster in 2010 to provide custom blind safety shutters at affordable prices. Our blinds are easy to install and shipping is free. Don't hire to fit professional. Do yourself and save big at Blindster.com. It's never been more important to diversify your financial portfolio. So that's right, the S&P is down 20% from last year, and this year looks even worse. No one wants to use the word recession, but let's be real, we're headed towards one. Gold and precious metals offer a hedge against inflation and stock market volatility. And Legacy Precious Metals, the company John and I trust. As Legacy Precious Metals, they reject the notion that your financial future should be left to chance. So the number one goal is to give people the key to protecting their wealth and securing their financial future. Protect your retirement account by rolling it into a gold-backed IRA or metal shipped directly to your door. Don't leave your retirement to chance. Call Legacy Precious Metals today at 866-691-2173 or get their free investor's guide online at 5legacygold.com. That's 5legacygold.com.
Whether it's Sunday afternoon or 3 a.m., whenever, wherever, we're with you at Memorial Clinic. Get high quality Care virtually or in person with video visits day or night, 24/7 telephone support, and more. Visit choose.memorialcare.org for more information.
I'm Martin Pope, the inventor of Navaj Nasal Care, and I love Navaj. I told you about how your nose is the body's air filter. This Navaj's powered pressure will help flush out allergens, viruses, mucus, and germs, and the Navaj will help you breathe better. But what do other people say about Navaj? Like John, quote, after walking around my whole life being a mouth breather, I was excited to try Navaj. I read the directions carefully, pressed the button, and oh my gosh, what a sensation. So much music, so much crud, but oh sweet, merciful air I can finally breathe you through my nose. Never have I ever taken such an amazing breath in my life. This is a life changer, unquote. He's one of over 100,000 online reviews praising Nirvana, the all-natural solution trusted by over 3 million people to help you breathe better, sleep deeper, snore less, and stay healthier without drugs. Nirvana is available at Walmart, CVS, Walgreens, Target, Rite Aid, and online. Nirvana, NRV, clean nose, healthy life. The lunchroom down the hall, they have donuts, food, cookies, etc. On the day that things expire, they put them on the table. It's yours. 4,600 calories of crap with a Diet Coke.
And in about 20 minutes, we'll be bouncing off the wall.
Here he goes. Tomorrow, handle. Yeah, they expire today. Live 6 to 9 a.m. on KFI. And on demand anytime on the iHeartRadio app. So just play money now. Now, your chance to win $1,000. Just enter the nationwide keywords on our website. Money, that's money, M-O-N-E-Y. Enter now at KFIAF640.com/app. Powered by Sweet James Accident Attorney. If ever an accident, winning is everything. Call the winning attorney this Sweet James. 800-500-5200. That's 800-500-5200 or sweetjames.com. Money. Enter money to KFIAM640.com/text. Do not text. If you win, you'll be notified by email. Check your spam folder. There's a KFI winning keyword every weekday morning starting at 6 a.m. And there's new ones all day long. So 6 to 2 an hour time when you can win with us at 3:20. 3:20. Oh, 3:28. All right. Back to the glorious alleged balloon, which is actually a 200-foot airship with bioequipment attached to it. I could say that all day. So there's no point in speculating. There's so much we have no idea. But here is things I'm reading. Why would they not tell us right away when this thing floated over Alaska? And why didn't they shoot it down in Alaska? Because Alaska is virtually empty. Yeah. So there's a reason for this. Well, through the course of the story over the weekend, we found out that the Secretary of State, Anthony Blinken, was using a trip to China this week because we wanted to get warmer and warmer, and it was to thaw out Rocky and COVID and all. And the thinking is they didn't want to cancel Blinken's trip because on that level, the United States is sending the Secretary of State all the way to China. It is a real smack in the cancel. So you want to cancel it. And they knew that if the publicity leaked out about this huge airship hovering over our military bases, that there'd be helping. So what they were hoping was that this spy ship would leave Alaska, and I guess they hoped it would die in Canada or float to the Arctic Circle or whatever. You know, the Chinese probably were controlling it and probably through satellite. I mean, nobody knows anything for sure, but it seems like that this was on purpose, and it was either had a mission to get information or it wanted to just stick a finger in our eye and say, hey, look what we can do. You have the guts to blow this out of the sky? And we didn't. And maybe it's because we don't really want to cancel Anthony Blinken's trip to China because that'll start all kinds of problems. Let's hope this thing just sneaks along and nobody notices. Well, people started noticing. I mean, by the time I got to Montana, actually, a couple of guys contacted the Pentagon. And this was the first that the Pentagon got a whiff that the public had noticed the thing. Up until that point, they were hoping it would just fly by because in the night sky, it looked like a planet. A little too large to be a planet, too small to be the moon, but they figured, no one's good enough. Except one guy in Montana, I think he had the kind of software where you could track astronomy, could track what's up in the sky. Or he may have memorized it, and he said, well, that's not supposed to be there. I don't know what that is. Maybe it's a real UFO, but that's not a planet, and it's not a star. What is it? So these two guys sent in a message to the Pentagon, and the Pentagon's response was, well, we're crafting a response. We're crafting this. They knew it. And that was their crap moment. Now, it's on social media. People are posting photos. People are posting videos. What are we going to do? Well, first thing they did is they told Anthony Clinton trip to China because you can't go there to make nice sites. You know, they send a spy balloon over our military and nuclear bases. What they're looking for, who knows? What they get from a balloon, an airship that they can't get from all the satellites they have orbiting the Earth, hovering over us, who knows? Do you know how many satellites the Chinese have that come across the U.S.? 120. We are under surveillance constantly. 120 Chinese satellites. And yes, I know we have our own hundreds of satellites hovering over everybody else as well. And I'm sure there's Russian satellites up there and God knows what. But that's why the fascinating thing is, like, why are they doing it? And did they think nobody was going to notice? There are now claims that there were some of these airships that are recently popped up before along the coast of Hawaii. One of them floated over Texas during the Trump administration. Trump people said, well, if one did, they didn't tell us. They didn't tell the Trump administration. Maybe because they thought Trump would start World War III, so they wanted to keep that quiet. I don't know. This is a field day for conspiracy theory writing. Because you can't prove or disprove anything. Except that this thing really floated over us, and we didn't shoot it down. I can only assume they didn't shoot it down because they didn't want to cancel. They didn't want to cancel Anthony Blinken's trip. I don't know what else the reason would be, unless we're just incredibly weak. I mean, I think how we allowed the rebels in Afghanistan to completely fall over Kabul, remember? That was not exactly a shining moment of United States strength. We certainly are extremely weak on the border. We're letting everybody storm in, literally by the millions, from 170 different countries. So we don't seem to have an administration or a mindset to protect ourselves, to defend ourselves, to monitor all the entry points. Whether it's a Chinese airship coming over Alaska or 4 million immigrants storming the border, I don't understand the philosophy. I don't understand destroying it immediately. Because how do you know for sure what's in it? Because right here now, you're racing in the ocean. That's the thing was shot down and busted into pieces, right? Because you hit water from that high up, it shatters in 1,000 different ways. So now they have divers diving, I think, 47 feet deep, but it's pieces. And then there's pieces that are going to be walking ashore on the beaches of North and South Carolina, and then they're going to try to put this back together and salvage what they can, see how it works, see if there's I've got to be collecting information instead of trying to satellite after they did. Because China already has all the information. And this looks like this is really expensive too. And China, I guess China will be sacrificing some money because this thing wasn't going to make it back to China, right? Yeah, it would have been able to make all the way around the world without somebody. That's a lot of money to spend on this. Was it just to get a smack in the face? Or was there new information that they could gather quickly? And is anybody going to ever tell the truth? If they absorbed a lot of our secret military intelligence or nuclear intelligence, whatever it is they were looking for, do you think that the Biden administration is ever going to admit it out loud? Are they ever ever going to admit why they didn't shoot it down in Alaska? Because eventually, when they got to the Midwest, it's like, well, we don't want to shoot it down because it might hurt people. They'll explode. Maybe it's over a city, but much of Montana, Tennessee, and that whole region, Wyoming, the Dakotas, Nebraska, Kansas, full. You can shoot it down. Because I heard the debris field over the ocean is about 15 football fields wide, which is really wide, but it's nothing that the Great Plains states or the Rocky Mountain states can't handle. You can go 15 football fields in Montana and not feel anything with it. So I just think to go back to my original point, I don't know who's telling the truth. And I don't know if anybody ever will tell the truth. You have the rah-rah guys on both sides of both parties saying whatever it is the supposed to say, but you're not getting truth with it. And a lot of people really don't know. A lot of people who are speaking publicly don't have the slightest idea what was going on. But the first question is going to be, the governor spotted on January 28th, Saturday, over Alaska, near the Aleutian Islands. Why did they shoot it down there? And why did they wait until the public started noticing this in Montana on Wednesday before they finally did it? Those are two big questions. What are the truthful answers? Who the hell knows? But that's where we are right now. They're busy diving into the waters of the Atlantic Ocean, collecting all the debris. More coming up on the John and Ken Show. Deborah Mark Live, the 24-hour campfire news.
More than 3,400 people in Turkey and Syria have been killed in a 7.8 magnitude earthquake. Hundreds of people are still believed to be trapped under the rubble of toppled buildings, damaged cities. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says he will send Israeli medical search and rescue teams to Turkey to help find survivors. The Israeli aid, Netanyahu said, will be extended to Syrian civilians as well, presumably those who crossed into Turkey. ABC's Regina Miller says Israel's high-tech rescue teams will help find people trapped under an estimated 2,000 collapsed buildings. He says Israel is also likely to set up an advanced medical clinic to help treat those injured. The news is brought to you by the Kennedy Dental Implant Center. The moon lodge in Mammoth Mountain has passed the seasonal average of snow. Resort officials say the latest storm dropped 16 to 24 inches of fresh snow on the mountain this past weekend, pushing the season total to more than 400 inches. The last time it surpassed this average was during the 2018 to 2019 season when the Central Sierra Resort received 492 inches. AMC Theater says it's charging more for seats based on the location. The movie chain says there will be 3 tiers: preferred, standard, and value. So flights will be cheaper while seats in the middle will now cost more. AMC says the TV app will show the adjusted prices and will only be applied on showings after 4 p.m. Dubbed A, list members can access the preferred seating at no extra charge. And no need to call into work with fake sniffles the day after the big game if you live in Tennessee. Football fans in Tennessee may be really happy they live on good old Rocky Top if the bill comes to life. Senator London Lamar and Representative Joe Towns Jr. are introducing a bill that would replace Columbus Day with the day after the Super Bowl as an official state holiday. Towns says the day takes a toll on the workforce, and many people skip work the day after the game. The bill needs bipartisan support to pass and go into effect as early as next year. Jennifer Jones, please. KFI News. We're going to go to the 55 next. You're visiting Glasgow, right? You know, first thing in the morning you wake up. Every day of your life. Glory. Reading it on your phone. Blinking, read the television. See your alarm clock. Whatever it is you want to focus on first thing. Dr. Charles Vader at Saddleback Eye Center will correct your vision and make it just perfect. It's a laser light laser exam. You get it to me. He uses a laser, measures your eyes over 1,000 times to get the perfect blueprint of your vision. And it'll correct your vision, whether you're nearsighted, far-sighted, you have astigmatism, or you need reading glasses. You do the laser light laser exam, and then do the procedure. And you walk out of there with 20/20 vision or better in most cases. There's no pain. It doesn't hurt. And I know this. Notice symptoms. You walk out of there and you'll be shocked, stunned, and giddy because now you can see so clearly. Hurt 14 callers. Giving you a number. Schedule a free laser light laser exam. Call now. 866-559-4444. First 14, 866
559 44 44 866 559 44 44.
Southland weather contains 5 sunny and windy in some areas, with highs in the upper 60s for Metro LA, mid to upper 60s for the San Fernando and San Gabriel valleys, 60s in Emerald Valley, around 70s for Inland Orange County, low to upper 60s in the Inland Empire. Right now, 65 in Laguna Woods and 64 in Rancho Santa Margarita. We're going to install on 55 in Santa Ana. Number 55 northbound right at Edinburgh Avenue. Disabled vehicle blocking the right lane and just jacked up center away from the 405. In Yorba Linda, 91 westbound, left before the 241. Battery attack in the fast track lane has clear. In Commerce, 5 northbound at Atlantic Boulevard, got stalled middle lane. You're going to be topping the first from the 605. Typical claims activity in Inglewood, 405 northbound and Manchester Boulevard, Los Angeles. Also, that is blocked because of that. Then in the town pass 15 northbound before Oak Hill Road, sold out Big Rig in the right lane. KFI in the sky helps get you there faster. I'm getting on it.
The crash is coming. You can feel it in your gut. According to Time Magazine, major investors predicted the 2008 crash, see another on the way. Bloomberg predicts that the U.S. housing market looks headed for its worst slowdown in years. To hedge against it, there's only one asset that's safe, liquid, and has outperformed stocks 3-1, rare coin. For insider access to coins with the greatest growth potential, there's only one place to go. Tangible Investments is America's top rare coin dealer, and its CEO, Phil DeGenova, is the undisputed expert on this private portable asset class. For over 35 years, Phil's coins have increased 10, 20, even 25 times. He's been featured on CNBC, the History Channel, and quoted in the Wall Street Journal. Get the only asset that safeguards your future while generating incredible gains. Call Tangible Investments for a free investor kit and copy of the award-winning documentary Why Money Became Worthless. 800-711-2800. 800-711-2800. 800-711-2800.
Well, instead of you in 2023, start with better water. Hey, it's Steam Sharp for Light Source, the whole house water system that will help you be a better you. If clean and healthy water is essential to look and feel your best, as it is, then unfiltered chlorinated water just doesn't cut it. Light Source removes the bad stuff, keeps the good, and means no more chlorine showers or baths. Feel great, look great, get Light Source water. Call 800-803-2696 or visit lightsourcewater.com. Light Source, taste and feel the difference.
Download the free iHeartRadio app for all your music, radio, and podcasts.
AM 640.
And iHeartRadio station.
The news, what it is, why it matters. So, they'll be on here. You ready? John Cobalt and Tim Campo, KFI, AM 640, live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. Just a few other things about the Chinese police situation. And we're also going to have Alex Stone from ABC coming on at 2 o'clock with any new details that they have uncovered. There was a second balloon. That wasn't a fake story. China confirmed a second balloon flying over Latin America, Central and South America. Also claiming that it was for research purposes and had gotten blown off course. The same explanation they gave about the balloon that sailed across America. Supposedly a weather balloon. Now, why they had a 200-foot airship with equipment as wide as a jet liner just to get to the high temperature in Billings, Montana? Yeah. Well, the thing about the Chinese is they're comical in the way they insist on their propaganda. And I don't know if they realize that a lot of people laugh at them, including other foreign leaders, but most of the world laughs at Chinese official statements because they're usually provocative. There's like two ways to use propaganda. Very subtle, where you make people stop and think, well, I don't know, maybe that can be true, I don't know, right? That's good propaganda. Better propaganda is to get people to doubt them. When you come flat out and give an alternate reality and completely deny what you're doing, then people laugh. And I think people are laughing at this stuff. Now, to try to double down on this stupid weather balloon story is they announced that they're firing the Chinese national bot. And they're making it sound like he boxed up the weather balloon projection. it was his fault that these balloons went so far off course. The thing is, he was retiring very soon anyway because he had won an election to lead the Guangzhou province, a people's political consultant to do. So some kind of political administration job that he won an election for, and so he was leading the weather service anyway. But immediately they decided to publicly say, well, he was behind these Fox airship trajectories, and if it's fault, you're not going to kill him. They're asking residents in the Carolinas if they find any debris from the balloon to call a phone number so that the U.S. government can come and pick up whatever you found. Any stray pieces, maybe you're walking the beach and you have some sort of spy equipment, let them know. Don't mess with it. Also in South Carolina, before the balloon was shot down by the government, the sheriff's office in York County is begging its residents not to shoot the balloon down themselves. They sent out a tweet. I'm not sure how many Yahoos follow the York County Sheriff's tweet account, but they tweeted out, yes, there are reports that the Chinese balloon is flying over our area at the moment. We're flying at 60,000 plus feet. Don't try to shoot it. The two exclamation points. Your rifle round, in capital letters, will not reach it. Be responsible. What goes up will come down, including your bullet. So they're trying to keep the good men of South Carolina from firing a rifle in the air and having the bullet come down and push their heads off. South Carolina. Now, Biden is claiming that he wanted the balloon shot down as soon as possible when he first found out on Wednesday. He admits he found out on Wednesday. So here's the big question. I mentioned this before, and this will remain a good question. Is if he found out on Wednesday, but the balloon actually reached American airspace in Alaska on Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 1, 2, 3, 4 days later. God, why 4 days before the president or important people in the administration are notified? I think that's what's going to be dogging this administration for quite a while unless they enter truthfully. Now, like I said before, you can't really expect us to shoot down enemy spy balloons when we leave the border guided. I wonder how many spies across the border down by Mexico. Because there are 4 million people that can't do over the border. Many of them were shipped to New York City. Governor Greg Abbott did that. So did the mayor of El Paso, Governor of Colorado. A few got reached in Florida, and Ron DeSantis shipped them to the Northeast. New York City is the center. They're taking tens of thousands of migrants. In fact, 21,000 have been bused to New York. But New York had long said, hey, we're sanctuary city, so welcome to your home. Now that they're overstuffed. But migrants still don't like New York City. Migrants found out what a lot of Americans find out, that you spend time in New York City too long, and you're going to have to deal with a lot of drugs and a lot of homeless. And believe it or not, the migrants are sick of the homeless. Not a joke. No joke, the president would say. The migrants told the New York Post they would rather accept free tickets, gave me and my family free bus tickets. I'm going to Canada for a better quality of life. Not a joke, said Raymond. One migrant said he was kicked out of the Royal Hotel near Times Square, and he was sent to a homeless shelter in Brooklyn. And the Royal Hotel became famous in New York because somebody, an employee, released video and photos last month of illegal immigrants trashing the hotel and leaving good food out to watch. Lupe Rodriguez said the chaos we see at the Royal Hotel is caused by migrants being drunk, drinking all day, smoking their marijuana and consuming drugs. The Royal Hotel is struggling with domestic violence among the migrants, young people having sex on the stairs, and a fight between a migrant and a hotel security officer. And that's why the mayor is begging Joe Biden, please do something. Manuel Rodon, a migrant from Venezuela, this is all true, said he was concerned about all the drug use in New York. A lot of Americans use drugs here. I feel like it's safer. It's a much quieter country than America. So the drug addicts are too much. The homeless too much. And then some of the illegal aliens are turning to drugs and drink and violence because they're stuck in a hotel and they got nothing to do and nowhere to go. What do you expect is going to happen? This is just some government abuse chaos. There's evil old guy we have running the country. They come in and they have nothing. Nobody ever stops to thinking, what are they going to do? Where are they going to go? Huh? What becomes of these people? So they sit in a hotel and get blasted and start beating each other up, beating their wives up. And then others who might actually be useful, they say, well, what's with all the drug addicts and homeless people in there? But what's coming up? Johnny Ken Show, and Alex Stone's going to come up after 2 o'clock with the latest on the balloon. The 24-hour KFI News.
Police have released video footage leading up to the officer-involved shooting that left the WMPT dead in Huntington Park. Investigators say the man had stabbed another man with a butcher knife last month and was threatening officers with the same knife. The LA County Board of Supervisors will consider proposed new laws that would tighten regulation of sales and ownership of guns in unincorporated areas. We'll talk about that in the meeting tomorrow. And a new survey shows many Americans are not optimistic about the future of the economy. A new Gallup poll shows 67% of respondents say they expect inflation to rise in the first half of this year. Southland weather from KFI, sunny and windy, highs 50 to around 70. This report brought to you by iAccidentLawyer.com. From the Southern California Toyota Dealers Traffic Center, let's go places. We're going to 5 in Glendale. 25 north on way to Colorado Street, got a brand new 3-car crash. Starting at its way to the right shoulder. If you're on that southbound side of the 5, still going to be a tough ride from the 134 all the way down to the 110. Two-day showing Santa Ana, 55 north on Evansville Avenue. That will be disabled vehicle 3. Turn the right on. You'll see some delays though, taking the 405. Also in Yorba Linda at 91 westbound before you get to the 241, trying to clear that crash from the center divider area of the fast lane. In the down pass, 15 northbound before Ocho Way. Don't got Goodrich still blocking the right lane there. Hey, find the guy helps get you there faster. I'm Jimmy Harmon.
Hey, Crash, you Crash. If you've been injured in a car or motorcycle accident, call iAccident Lawyer today. One ring could be touching. iAccidentLawyer.com is the way to go. 800-920-0810.
This report is sponsored by Albertsons and Barnes. Save time and money when you shop digital deals at Barnes and Albertsons. Grab a gallon of Value Corner milk or family-sized Nabisco Oreos in a 12.2 to 20-ounce package. Selected varieties for only $3.47 each. Limit 4 with digital coupons.
This year, it's easier to learn a new language with Rosetta Stone. No matter what's inspiring you to learn a language, travel, work, family, or just for fun, the Rosetta Stone app makes it easy to get started and stay motivated to reach your goals. Right now, get a lifetime unlimited subscription with forever access to all 25 of Rosetta Stone's languages for 40% off. Visit RosettaStone.com today and save 40%. Rosetta Stone, how language is learned.
Are you a business owner, CEO, or responsible for marketing? If you are, iHeartMedia can help you reach your goals and find new customers. We reach more consumers in your target area than anywhere else. And we can give you access to those potential customers more cost-effectively across radio, digital, podcasting, and social. We'd love to figure out iHeartMedia can work for you. From your cell dial pound 250 and say keyword great results. That's pound 250 and say great results. Contact license 1047-781. Here are the homeowner headaches. We fix together. One turkey rejuvenation. Where we help prepare breakdowns by performing quick critical adjustments with $129. Another one is more on client
drain for just $80. You get 34 drains next. And we're on call 24/7, 365 days a year. And our drain cleaner service is just $80. So nice at that part. They'll air conditioning and pump. TRILLIONAIRE.com. We do things the right way, not the easy way. If you have a pizza cake at the office to somebody's birthday or retiring, then you might as well just pick up a pack of cigarettes on the way home. After smoking inflict harm on others, it aims through a food. Okay, wait a minute. The King Conway Jr. Show. So you can second hearing case live 4 to 7 p.m. on KFI and on demand anytime on the iHeartRadio app. Got a good show. Central Belton King Camp Outfit coming on KFI AM 640 live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. After 2 o'clock, Alex Stone from ABC News on the shooting down of the big Chinese spy balloon. And busted into pieces. That whole spy contraption, I don't know what you call the thing that was dangling off the bottom of the balloon. That had all the good stuff. That had surveillance equipment. Anyway, something Alex coming up at 2 o'clock. Also after 3 o'clock, that awful story in Orange County last week on Wednesday when Dr. Michael Mamone was riding his bike on PCH Crown Valley Parkway, and he was hit from behind by a driver. But he and the bike went flying through the air, but then the driver, January Smith, jumped out and started stabbing him with a huge knife. Well, we've got a bystander witness the whole thing, saw the whole thing. And there's also some social media posts that have been revealed as well. He is a story of January Evan Smith, and apparently he had an account under the name Evan Smith. So we'll get into that after 2 o'clock here on KFI. I know this firsthand with the natural gas bills, these are homes, only natural, huh? Southern California Gas, San Diego Gas and Electric. There's 25 million customers here in Southern California, and we have one bill that went 4.5 times higher. 4.5, not a doubling of the bill, not a tripling, not a quadrupling and a half. And everybody's getting bills like this. And yeah, supposedly reasonable people get on and it is a supply constraint issue. And it's like, oh, stop. Because that means they're not having these kind of natural gas prices. And you know the root of it is we sit on tons and tons of natural gas here in California, and the stupid government refuses to allow the energy companies to extract the gas from below the surface. And there's no good reason for it. Artificially constrain the natural gas supply. They can say, well, this pipe actually got compromised, and we have 30% less flow. And, this is for gasoline. And they say, well, there was a refinery that was there. But stop it. Build the infrastructure to make it work. Build the redundancy so it works. There's no reason for these kind of natural gas prices because we have enormous quantities below the surface here in California. On top of that, though, why do the prices go high? Well, according to filings with the Securities and Exchange Commission, the LA Times looked into the 2022 filing. And Sempra Energy, which owns SoCal Gas and San Diego Gas, big raises to the executives. Net income fell in 2021. However, the CEO, Jeffrey Martin, Mr. Sempra Energy, made $25 million in total compensation in 2021. That was up from $23 million in 2020 and $20 million in 2019. So in 2 years, this Jeffrey Martin character had a 25% increase in compensation. From $20 million to $25 million in 2 years. Well, the reason is, we have a pipeline being compromised in West Texas. Yeah. If your company was taking in, less net income in 2021. How did you work out that huge raise? Because we're talking a 25% increase on a $20 million salary. That's a $5 million. The chief financial officer, Trevor Mihalik, was paid more than $7 million in 2021. The group president, Kevin Segara, made more than $8 million. Both of them got raises or had their compensation increased in some way. So you have three guys, Jeffrey Martin, Trevor Mihalik, Mike Halleck, Kevin Segara. Oh my God, you know how much they made total between the three of them? 40 in a single year. And my gas bill is up more than quadruple. And some of that money is going to Jeffrey, Trevor, and Kevin. What the hell? We won't know what they made in 2022 till late this year because they don't even have to file those numbers until May the 1st, and then it takes months after that until it's released to the public. Now, and Martin, Halleck, and Segara have also accumulated pension benefits. They have something called the Supplemental Executive Retirement Plan. Wouldn't you like to have one of these? $60 million. $60 million for the three of them. Sitting there waiting. So what are we up to now? The three executives at the end of 2021 will be compensated eventually a total of $100 million. $100 million. $40 million for the work they did and $60 million waiting in their retirement account. And sometimes you'll hear defenders of these extreme corporate salaries saying, oh, you know, really, it's just a drop in the bucket in the overall budget, and it's really not that. Okay. Well, they always kind of did the math on that. You know how we're getting a climate credit rebate? About $50. Well, that $100 million, that's enough for 2 million households to get the $50 rebate. That's a third of the company's natural gas meters in Southern California. So a third of their company, a third of their customers can get a rebate just from the money being paid to the three executives for 1 year plus their thing. In fact, that $100 million can cover a $500 rebate for 200,000 households who are struggling with the high cost of gas. Not to mention the $1.34 billion in net profit. Well, if you carved up that profit and gave the customers a rebate, 3 million households would get $500. So, as you would expect, there might be market forces at work, but a lot of that is self-inflicted because of our idiot government. And a lot of it has to do with these green-bag executives. I have no idea why Jeffrey Martin should get $25 million. Of course, nobody ever explains it. Nobody ever justifies it. They just take the money. $25 million for a year. The SoCal Gas said, oh, well, prices won't drop soon. In fact, SoCal Gas claims that there'll be a 16% decrease in prices this month compared to last month. 16%. Guess what? Even after the 16% drop, the prices will still be significantly higher than they were a year ago. They did ask a template spokesperson reporters asked about the compensation, and a spokesperson released a written statement that shareholders, not ratepayers, pay the executive. Criteria, which includes factors like public safety, employee safety, and relatability. What does that mean? Public safety, employee safety. We get the $5 million raise for employee safety. But no, the whole world's crooked, isn't it? government, big business. All right, we come back right after the 2 o'clock news here. Then talk with Alex Jones from ABC. Scott, the great Chinese balloon paper that entertained everyone over the weekend. Deborah Mark Live, the 24-hour cafe newsroom. Whatever happens, we have got it covered.
KFI.
KOST,
Los Angeles on County.
live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app.
Race kit bill on the Mark Life and KFI 24-hour newsroom. Republican Assemblyman Tom Lackey from Palmdale says he wants to end the race kit backlog in California. Lackey says in 2020, officials discovered nearly 14,000 race kits were untested.
I find that to be unacceptable. I mean, sexual assault is one of the most traumatic crimes of the past.
He plans to introduce a bill that would require all outstanding race kits to be processed by 2026 because there is plenty of money to fund the resources needed to meet the goal. A man who led officials on a high-speed chase through LA and is suspected of the shooting has been arrested. PTOA says the guy driving a silver sedan collided with the center barrier and at least one other car on the 405. Video shows him then running away before trying to jump onto a pickup truck on the 405 off-ramp. Officers arrived moments later, tackled and arrested him. Thousands of people are getting physicals at the Orange County Fairgrounds to help the feds determine how healthy the nation is. Cal Optima Chief Medical Officer Dr. Richard Cates of Orange County is one of 15 counties chosen by the National Health and Nutrition Examination Survey.
It's a really broad cross-section. We have urban areas, we have suburban areas, and we have a little bit of rural area left in Orange County. So it kind of fits the need for a good random survey.
He says the survey helps the feds track things like how kids are developing or how obesity, diabetes, and other issues are impacting the nation's health. He says about 5,000 people were notified by mail to take part in a roughly 6-week survey process. Police have issued 20 tickets, and Coach Eastnard Police Department says it's committed to reducing dangerous street racing and traffic safety across the city. Officials in Ohio and Pennsylvania are ordering people to evacuate the area around a burning derailed train in East Palestine, Ohio, as they are planning a controlled release of toxic material. They say vinyl chloride from 5 cars of the derailed train will be released to reduce the threat of an explosion.
Everybody who remained within that mile radius or decided they needed to back within that mile radius, we need to leave now.
They're starting to release the chemicals right now. Fire Chief Steve Breivik says they're working with several federal agencies. Republican Governor Mike DeWine says this is a matter of life and death. More than 3,400 people have been killed in a 7.8 magnitude earthquake that hit Turkey and Syria. The center of the quake was in a southeastern province in Turkey, but it was felt as far away as Cairo in Egypt. Thousands of buildings were reported collapsed across Syria, and hundreds of families remain trapped in rubble. Turkey's president says he does not know how high the death toll and number of people hurt will go up, because the efforts to remove debris are ongoing. Beyonce has broken the record for the most Grammy wins of all time. She made history last night at the 65th Annual Grammy Awards held in LA. She won for Best Dance Electronic Album for Renaissance. I'd like to thank the queer community for your love and for increasing the genre. God bless you to the Grammy. With 32 awards to her name, Beyonce by conductor George Schulte, he took home 4 awards last night. We're going to go to the 215 next.
You know that the interest rates were jacked up again by the Federal Reserve this week. Payments are going up, credit's harder to get, and you have that big thing you want to do. You want to get a new smile. Because you keep it all rotted, faded, disgusting. You can get your teeth redone. You can get a brand new smile installed from Honey Dental with their 1-day smile transformation. They have very competitive terms, very favorable. You lock in your payment plan, you'll be able to afford this. You have to call them at Honey Dental, lock in the payment plan, and get a beautiful, natural ink smile transformation. New teeth in a day. Call Honey Dental 888-640-SMILE, 888-640-SMILE.
The KFI Financial Report. The Dow closed down 35, S&P 500 down 25, NASDAQ down 119. And the average price of a gallon of regular gas in California is $4.62. Southland weather can play out by sunny tomorrow with highs around 70 for Metro LA, mid-60s for around 76 San Gabriel and San Fernando Valley, low to mid-50s for the Antelope Valley, low 70s inland Orange County, upper 60s to low 70s in New England and Powell. Right now, 69 in Tustin, 59 Laguna Beach, 62 in Fontana, and 67 in Van Nuys. Crash on the 215 in Grand Prairie. 215 Family Society Garden Road with that crash is clearing from the two right lanes to the shoulder, but it's still going to be slow on and off from the 10 through that Riverside interchange. Also in Riverside, 16 783 heads up the crash stand rolling around those lanes. And in Bloomington, 6 feet got sold out semis blocking the right lane. Kidney staying at the hometown 15 North 94 Oak Hill Road. That's all big rig is cleared. I still do see some phone coming away from the 215 in Brea, 57 North and Diamond Bar Boulevard, and another crash stand in the left lane. And in Truman, from 1 on Red Woodman Avenue, brand new two-car crash. They are making their way over to the right shoulder, but you've got some flowing coming away from the 405. KFI in the sky helps get you there faster. I'm getting on it. As a walking pharmacist, I talk to people all the time about little tips and tricks for filling your Medicare prescriptions, like taking advantage of walking not even refills to save them a trip, or using refill by scan, which is super easy and right on your phone. And for anybody worried about prescription costs, I say, hey, you got this, with low-cost copays on many medications. Let's talk about making things easier. Walgreens is here, so your way and save. Walgreens.com/medicine. Retirement facility, 15 cents student.
Yeah. Visit HoustonCleanup.org or call 833-422-4255. Ask for medication to treat COVID-19. Brought to the California Department of Public Health.
Injured in the hospital? Visit superwomansuperwoman.com.
More stimulating talk.
And iHeart Radio Station.
910 shows, John Kogo, KCFO, KFI, AM 640, live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. Hello. You there? Oh, I thought this was going to be a long way to get you a test. I was told it was as well. All right, well, wherever we can connect, we'll connect. What do you think? We do have Alex Stone here, though, because we spent a lot of our last hour talking about the great Chinese airship, the balloon, carrying that payload of spy equipment all the way from Alaska to North Carolina before it was finally shot down. And Alex has the latest from ABC News. I will be your pen for you. Okay, you can two-headed monster. There you go. Hold my hand. I'll be your pen. Okay. So, yeah, we got a briefing today from the head of NORAD, the commander of NORAD, General Glenn Van Herk, and he laid a lot of this out. I know you've been talking about it, but they're trying to collect the debris right now, relatively shallow water, about 6 miles off the coast of South Carolina, only about 47 feet deep, so pretty easy for divers to get down there and get to it if it's still intact. The FBI is on board boats in that area. The weather was bad yesterday. They've been in the water today. The FBI in charge of counterintelligence, they're going to collect pieces of it. Send it to Quantico, try to put together the counterintelligence part of it, of what we're kind of doing and what did they have on board. But he did get into a lot of details with us, including why NORAD didn't order it to be shot down when it was seen entering over the Aleutian Islands and into Alaska. And this is what he told us a little while ago.
It was my assessment that this balloon did present a physical military threat to North America. This is under my NORAD Act, and therefore I could not take immediate action because it was not demonstrated for hostile resistance.
Now, the way he described it, John, he said they determined that China could not get much from the balloon and that we could learn more from exploiting the balloon and learning what they had on board than they could get from flying over. He also talked about that we took action. You wouldn't answer the question if we jammed their signals, so that we took action to make sure they couldn't get anything from the balloon or get much out of it. So they felt like what we could learn because other balloons we haven't been able to spend this much time with or get this close to or knew about time that they could, you could fly close to them, the technology to see close to it, to see what China was putting on these balloons. We spent a few days with it. This is his way of explaining the reason why it took so long. And he says that he did get counterintelligence out of it while it was flying over the U.S., something that says NORAD doesn't typically have the ability to do.
Day to day, we do not have the ability to collect intelligence within the United States or America. In this case, specific authorities were granted to collect intelligence against the balloon specifically, and we utilize specific capabilities to do that.
He told us the payload on the bottom was about the size of a jet airliner, a small jet airliner weighing a few thousand pounds. They had worries, he said, about once it was in the continental U.S., about glass from the solar panels. You could think of, glass the size of a jet airliner blowing apart and coming raining down. Hazmat on board. You see, they also thought China may have equipped it, and we still don't know if they did, with explosives on board to destroy it, like we would if we had something that was fun and trying to get rid of it before the enemy got their hands on it, but they thought there may have been explosives on board. And one other thing on the two F-22s that they used to take it down were Frank 01 and Luke 01. Frank 01 was the one that used the live warheads and sidewinder missiles that took it down. But he explained it was symbolic and why they did Frank and Luke as the call signs. And he said that it was in honor of somebody who did a lot.
Frank Luke, Medal of Honor winner, World War I, for his activities that he conducted with observation with. So how big is it to Frank put down this balloon in sovereign airspace of the United States of America within our territorial waters?
But he says the goal now is to get those pieces out of the water, exploit them in every way we possibly can, figure out what China's been doing with these balloons around the world. We know there was one in South America around the same time, and he says that they want to figure these out and what they're all about.
If they were concerned that there might be explosives on board, was there any worry that those explosives could be used in an attack against a town?
Don't worry about that. They're concerned. I think that they could see some of what was on board. That it wasn't anything major. It would have been to destroy the balloon and the payload underneath. Not to. There was no maneuverability. It didn't look like to drop and then explode down on the ground to hit a certain area. Plus the fact it sounds like, and this is only the kind of indications we're getting that the signals were jammed and that the Chinese may not have had a lot of control over it once the action was taken from the U.S. side. But maybe that was a possibility. He didn't indicate any of that stuff.
So did he talk about what he thought the purpose of the Chinese experiment was, to see if we could block them and jam them?
They believe that, and this is apparently these balloons, they did, by the way, talk about the previous balloons. We've known about the ones that were off of Hawaii and other places, because the other ones that have become controversial in the last couple of days. But this is a surveillance means that China is doing right now, sending these balloons manufactured by a Chinese company to the U.S. to try to get intelligence on what's going on in other areas of the world. On the previous balloons, which this is now a big political point that, the Biden administration kind of dangled out there last week. There's another balloons during the Trump administration, and the former Trump administration officials said, there was nothing that went on. There were no balloons. They continue to stand by that today. The general today, who was the team commander of NORAD under President Trump, but NORAD never detected them, and they didn't know about them until not that long ago, when the intelligence community informed them they had intelligence and there had been balloons. But he put it this way: essentially, the U.S. failed to detect that there were balloons that flew over parts of the United States in previous years.
It's my responsibility to detect threats to North America. I will tell you that we did not detect those threats. And that's a domain awareness gap that we have to figure out. But I don't want to go into further detail. The aircraft community, after the fact, I believe it has been briefed already, assessed those threats through additional means of collection from additional means, and made us aware of those balloons that were previously approaching North America or transiting North America.
So according to the commander of NORAD, there have been Chinese balloons that have either gone over, or I should say, and gone over America, and we never knew about. about it. North America never knew about it in that time, in real time. So maybe kind of a domain awareness test. That means we don't know what the hell is going on out there. That's what that means. They keep flying pretty high, these balloons, so I guess sometimes they don't get picked up. 100,000 feet? I've heard 100,000 feet they can go up to. So what kind of balloons would be on the radar this year? What should they carry that can really do us damage? Look, I read a lot about this over the weekend. I think this is just, and I guess the term they're using is a trial balloon. You like this, they want to see what they can get away with. They've probably been doing this for years, so we can detect 3 during the Trump administration, that goes back, and there might be 5 or 7 years now. There's probably stuff we never, those were detected and never published though. And who knows what they collected from us? And who else is doing this too? Is it just Russian balloons? Well, there's got to be Russian balloons, right? Or Armenian balloons? Or Iranian balloons? Yeah, right. It could be all over the place. Well, now we have a new balloon awareness, right? We're closing the domain awareness. Yeah, right. So now we'll really be on the lookout for these things. So are they ever going to tell us what they find? Then if they're going to form that debris? You know, I keep that secret from us too. These generals or these spokesfolds, they declare very confidently what it was and what it wasn't. But are they telling the truth? Or are they shoveling horse food at us? It's for your own good. Yeah, I don't really believe. We don't want you to panic. Yeah, I know. Domain awareness. Yeah. Wow. That's in the Euphemism Hall of Fame, first ballot. John Holt has already spoken up. Remember him? Yeah, he was Trump's former national security advisor. Really? Did they go into a time machine and find the detection? Because during the Trump administration, we never were aware of any balloons. Oh, okay. So were there balloons coming in and they were afraid to tell Trump because they feared he would fire nuclear missiles at Beijing? Oh, that's possible. Yeah, you're right. He would overreact. Nothing would surprise me. We got more coming up. Johnny 10 KFI AM 640 live. Everywhere the iHeartRadio app. Kevin Mark live, your 24-hour KFI newsroom.
A construction worker is recovering after falling 20 feet into a concrete hole in Woodland Hills. It happened at the Kaiser Permanente campus around 8 this morning. Dell says the plans to lay off about 5% of its workforce, or about 6,500 people. The company has been dealing with reduced demand for personal computers. The Pakistan Telecommunication Authority says it has blocked Wikipedia services in the country because a 48-hour deadline to remove alleged blasphemous content was ignored. We're going to go to the T10 next.
It's shocking news here. AT&T's DirecTV just removed Newsmax from 13 million homes. Now, AT&T owns DirecTV. This is the second consecutive channel they removed in a year. Meanwhile, DirecTV is still keeping what they call news channels on. Newsmax says if you're angry about the censorship, you need to speak up. Newsmax is the fourth highest rated cable news channel. And so far, DirecTV has been taking off the liberal channels. Well, I understand this, says Newsmax is targeted, and it's wrong. AT&T and DirecTV censorship is unacceptable, says Newsmax. If you care about censorship, seriously consider canceling your DirecTV and AT&T services. So Newsmax would like DirecTV or AT&T customers to call 877-NEWSMAX, and Newsmax will correct you. And Newsmax says contact your congressman for complaint censorship. Newsmax is building it too. Millions joining Newsmax site. So you support for Newsmax, call 877-NEWSMAX now.
We have a crash on the T10 in Azusa. On the T10, you found right at Fisher, it takes a 3-car wreck clear into the right shoulder, and right behind that, you have a stalled-off vehicle in carpooling. You've already got the race coming away from the 605. In Tennessee, swinging from the 605 northbound before Telegraph Road, got a crash, clearing from the center divider over to the right shoulder. It is really going to turn away from the 105. You're going to stay on and off those brakes all the way up to the 60. In the turn pass, 15 northbound brake to 138. Brand new crash. This one is blocking the left lane. It's going to be heavy from Kenwood Avenue. KFI in the sky helps get you there faster. I'm getting on it.
This recording is sponsored by El Monte RV. When you're ready to hit the road, El Monte RV has a wide range of RVs to rent or buy. Their pet-friendly RVs come with updated amenities, and some even have fly-outs for more room when you need it. Experience the freedom of the open road. Visit ElMonteRV.com or call 800-337-2149. Hi, I'm Kyle. My company is Blindster.com. I started Blindster in 2010 to provide custom blind safety shutters at affordable prices. Our blinds are easy to install and shipping is free. Don't hire an expensive professional. Do yourself and save big at blinds.com. Afraid to look at your financial statements? Shredding them without opening them? It's time for a second opinion from Edelman Financial. Volumes aren't based on intuition or daily market. They're grounded in institutional rigor, and all of our planners are fiduciaries who put your interest above all else. So if you need help managing the ups and downs of this market, we're ready to help. At Edelman Financial, you get crystallized investment recommendations from a dedicated wealth plan who doesn't sell product commission. So stop shredding those financial statements. Let's take a look together. Time to get a second opinion. Get your complimentary wealth checkup where you can discuss your financial goals with a wealth planner. Call Edelman Financial Engine at 888-899-4450. That's 888-899-4450. Or visit EFEWealthPlanners.com.
Are you a business owner, CEO, or responsible for marketing? If you are, our media can help you reach your goals and find new customers. We reach more consumers in your target area than anywhere else, and we can give you access to those potential customers more cost effectively. Across radio, digital, podcasting, and social. We love to figure out our media can work for you. It's time to go. iHeartAdvertising.com. That's iHeartAdvertising.com.
If your business has 5 or more employees and manage to survive COVID, you could be eligible to receive a payroll tax rebate of up to $26,000 per employee. That's real money. Not a loan either, for refund of your taxes. The trick is getting your hands on it. Complicated, lots of red tape, so let me suggest going to GetRefunds.com. Their team of tax attorneys are experts in this little-known payroll tax refund program, and they've already returned $1 billion to businesses, and it can probably help you too. No charge up front, they share a percentage of the cash that they get for you. And businesses of all types can qualify, including those that PPP money and nonprofits. Even if you have increases in sales, you can qualify. To find out if your business does qualify, go to GetRefunds.com, click on the Qualify Me button, answer a few questions, they start to work. GetRefunds.com, that's GetRefunds.com. We have 5 balloons coming over the United States airspace, and no one says anything to the President or the Secretary of Defense. It's just a balloon. It's a Chinese balloon. They'll handle. It's a happy balloon. You see a happy face on it? Live 6 to 9 a.m. on KFI and on demand anytime on the iHeartRadio app. Johnny Show, and we're giving away more money. Now, your chance to win $1,000. Just enter this nationwide keyword on our website. Credit. That's credit. CREDIT. Enter it now at KFIAM640.com/cash. Powered by Sweet Games Accident Attorneys. If you're ever in an accident, winning is everything. Call the winning attorneys at Sweet Games. 800-500-5200. That's 800-500-5200 or sweetgames.com. Credit. Enter credit at KFIAM640.com/cash. Do not tax. If you win, you'll get an email, check your junk and spam folder. And every day there's winning keywords starting at 6 a.m. with handle all the way to 6 p.m. with Tyler. Here on KFI, you can win next hour at 3:40. This is watching the County Balloon live. I follow it on the iPad and listening to the TV and audio things. But when I got to the hotel room, then I looked up and they said, "Oh, it's just shot down 20 minutes ago." I got to see the instant replay. Very well done. Okay. It was, well, it killed in a lot of dead time during the drive. Yeah. Like I said, I think it was psychological warfare. They really wanted to just mess with us mentally to send things over. And what if you think could happen was that it did not reported it to the public or anything? It shut down the time they're like, all right, well, they know it. Or they probably, like you said, it created a real public firestorm, right? If you don't know what did it, then why would you let it float over our airspace? I mean, you can't be sure what did it. Yeah, or what the reason for this is. I find that not the first time. So how come Biden wasn't told for Wednesday? Is the thing that long? This thing was floating over Alaska a week ago Saturday. Yeah, I know, I read that. They picked it up that early. And the claim the balloons during the Trump administration, nobody told Trump. Is this the new aircraft? No, let me try to think like Trump and Biden. Rumble over react. The other one won't understand. I understand. And I just mistrust everybody involved in this. I think there must be a lot of your ass going on because it's quite embarrassing that it happened and it actually exploded from Alaska to North Carolina and that nobody in the upper levels of government at least knew about it. The public never knew about it. I mean, it doesn't seem like that's how you run things. But the other big story is that earthquake that struck Turkey 7.8, another one at 7.5, and also hit Syria. I'm getting as much coverage about Syria. But, of course, the Occidental Times ran to story that Deborah Moore's looking for. What would it do to Southern California? Yeah, we got hit with a 7.8. And as you can guess, it would be very disruptive. I don't think we have as many deaths because there is some retrofitting and better construction there. I don't think there was a lot of retrofitting in Turkey. You know, if you see these videos, some of the buildings just coming down, just like, right? Yeah, swaying in running in the streets. They look like mostly dirt roads they were running in, but they were pretty wild scenes. They think that, this is all estimates, 1,800 people might die if there is an earthquake like that, with Los Angeles County having the worst of it. We're talking about, of course, San Andreas. 50,000 injured. Freeways would be busted up from Las Vegas. Freeways to Vegas to Phoenix. Possibly up to 1 million people, no homes. Well, that's supposed to definitely happen one day, right? Yeah. The 7-8, that's well within their prediction, and it has to happen because that fault is so huge. One day the pressure will blow. Yeah, gas, power, self-service probably would be severely out. Yeah. And the last time we had a seismic event like this, of course, was in 1906. San Francisco was like that was 7.8. Everybody talks about Northridge, but that happened down here, but that was 6.7. You think about it, 6.7, and then you jump to what happens in Turkey. Yeah. The difference is humongous. It's pretty hard to, the 7.8 is so much greater than a 6.7, because some people mistakenly think, oh yeah, it's just 1.5. That's a 6 and a 7. No, I said, look, I forgot what the rate is. Yeah, there's a rate, but it's many times higher. Right, you'll say a 6 to a 7.
Not to mention all the people that will die of heart attacks during an earthquake of that magnitude in LA. I would probably be one of them.
Oh, you're going to have an overload.
Oh, 100%. I wouldn't survive. I wouldn't be here to talk about it. I'd be flipping out.
Any minute it could happen.
I know.
Like I said many times, if it's going to happen, I hope it happens all around the air so we can hear this.
You don't even hear anything. I would die.
I don't know where you were supposed to.
I would go underneath this table here.
No. Oh, yeah, that table's going to stop.
Well, what else am I going to do? I'm going to run out?
If this building goes down, the table's going down with it.
Probably.
Yeah. What I heard people say, too, about the Turkey quake is that it went on for like 5 to 10 minutes. Can you imagine that? You just have these little shots that go through here, but imagine going through 5 minutes of that shaking, but that's really violent shaking. Well, here's the math of it. A magnitude 7 earthquake, 32 times more energy, 32 times stronger than a magnitude 6. Now, a magnitude 8 is 1,000 times stronger than a magnitude 6. Now, so there's a whole multiplication that goes on, right? Separate.
Yeah, I know. I wish there was a tough way that we could prevent earthquakes. I mean, I know that's useful thinking. I know. But my life would be so much happier if I knew that there were no earthquakes.
You have to go to a different planet. This is how the planet is.
I tell you, I spend way too much time learning about this.
The other thing that amazed me this morning, sometimes I think the world is upside down. I have a brother who lives in Buffalo. They got an earthquake. They got a 3.3 this morning at 6:15, 3.8 this morning at 6:15 a.m. Is that related to the Turkey there? Well, it's funny. For all the folks connected underneath, Yahoo just put up a story. It's the Turkey earthquake that hit one in Buffalo, and Ontario. The timing isn't right. That's a fine politics. So, I don't know. The Turkey earthquake was felt in Greenland. If that is possible. Well, if it's the other side of the earth, if that happens, I don't know. You know, you take a joke, you can get through and find your way to China. Oh, yeah, I believe that it is. If it does to Buffalo, you find your way to Turkey, that's the problem. And could you tell my brother sent me a video from Twitter, and it was some guy who looked at a camera set up and he jumped the noise. It was a real, well, we're very familiar with it here, but it was a real shock. And most people there were really not, I mean, they were totally confused. What was that they were after? The dog started barking and really up. What's that? You're also living in a part of the world where there are a lot of bad countries nearby. So the idea that you're getting bombed, yes, it's possibly true. Apparently, that's not a great neighborhood. There are faults all over the country. It's just the California fault, or Alaska actually, it's the most earthquakes, but they're the more active. There are faults all over the country. And this one happened to pop this morning. You got more coming up during KFI AM 640 live everywhere in the iHeartRadio app. Deborah Mark.
I am.
Why do you 24-hour KFI user?
Farm workers in California say they are working under dangerous and unfair conditions. Newspaper says that more than 1,200 farm workers reported illegal treatment, wage theft, and lack of health care. 43% reported their employer never provided key illness prevention plans which are required by law. About a third said they would not file reports against their employers because they were afraid of losing their jobs. The study released last week surveyed farm workers from August of 2021 to January of 2022. Calls to the new 988 suicide lifeline have spiked across Southern California in the first 6 months, from 52 to revisit.
If we want to go out, we've seen about a 22% increase.
You heard crisis care BP series and Welch says calls are also being answered within 13 seconds, much faster than before.
Our team has responded to more than 69,000 calls, 5,000 texts, and 7,800 staff.
Just in LA County, about 5,000 calls come in per month.
And the majority of the time, our pastors are able to de-escalate escalation with no further intervention needed.
Nationwide in the first 6 months, more than 2 million 988 calls were answered. In LA, coordinating Carson KFI News.
Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen has rejected fears of a recession and said the economy remains strong and resilient in the U.S. Yellen also says every responsible member of Congress must agree to raise the debt ceiling, adding that it is not negotiable.
Well, sometimes usefulness to the wire is something in the Congress is always recognized their responsibility needs to be again.
Because America has paid all of its bills on time since 1789, not to do so now would produce an economic and financial catastrophe. Airline regulators have proposed fining United Airlines with $1.15 million for skipping safety protocols on some of its planes. The Federal Aviation Administration says United stopped checking the fire warning system as part of a list of steps crews must complete before takeoff. The FAA says the airline failed to make these fire warning checks between June of 2018 and April of 2021. On the new poll, for the majority of Democrats think one term is enough for President Biden. The Associated Press North Center for Public Affairs research poll says 37% of Democrats say they want Biden to run in 2024, down from 52% from before last year's midterm election. The poll shows the group who doesn't want a second term, Biden is most concentrated among people 44 years old and younger. We're going to go to the 10 next.
Last year, the S&P went down about 20%, and this year's outlook is also pretty dicey. In fact, the majority of economists are forecasting a recession sometime this year. That's why you hear time and time again how important it is to diversify your portfolio relative to the risk taking massive losses. Gold and precious metals, they can be a hedge against inflation and stock market volatility. And our friends over at Legacy Precious Metals, that's the company we trust. From the Legacy Precious Metals, with them you can protect your retirement account by rolling into a gold-backed IRA or have it shipped directly to your door. I just heard today, I would say that a lot of people around the world are investing in gold as an inflation hedge. Visit Legacy online and get your free investor's guide at buylegacygold.com. When you get Legacy Precious Metals, just call. Here's the number, 866-691-2173. That's 866-691-2173. Don't leave your retirement plans. Call Legacy Precious Metals today. Download your free investor's guide. buylegacygold.com.
Southland weather from KFI sunny tomorrow with highs around 70 for Metro LA, mid-60s to around 70 for the San Gabriel and Santa Clarita Valleys, low to mid-50s in the Antelope Valley, low 70s for Inland Orange County, upper 50s to low 70s in the Inland Empire. Right now, it is 65 in San Juan Capistrano and 68 in Stanton. We are going to install on the 10 in Alhambra. Some 10 westbound right at 710. The single big rig blocking the lanes at the transition to the 710 south. Exit Mid-City on the 10 eastbound before launching into Boulevard. Look at some machinery, some debris, metal debris in the middle lane. In Whittier, 605 North out of Beverly Boulevard. It's a stalled-out vehicle blocking the two right lanes. It is. Traffic is up all the way from the 105. 605 southbound is crossing at the track clear to the right shoulder. They are going to be on the brakes from Beverly Boulevard and then the booth on the 210 eastbound Citrus. That crash, they're holding all lanes to go to the right shoulder. It is backed up to the 605. KFI in the sign helps get you there faster. I'm Jimmy Harner.
Hi, I'm Kyle. My company is blindster.com. I started Blindster in 2010 to provide custom blind safety shutters at affordable pricing. Our blinds are easy to install and typically free. Don't hire an expensive professional. Do it yourself and save big at blindster.com.
This is Cleveland Smith, founder of Service Patches, Plumbing, Heating, and AC. Another good day for free. Sometimes just the little things that make all the difference in the world. Like when our technician David was asked to roll out our customer with Parkinson's disease. The caregiver wasn't available, and she had a six-pack of Gatorade stuck in those plastic ring holes. David got them free from the plastic, and she also said she had trouble with the cat. David then unscrewed the caps of all six bottles, removing them completely, and then putting them back on. He wanted to make sure it would be easy for her later. David also said he really enjoyed helping her out, especially because of her upbeat attitude. Thanks, David. Keep those good deeds for free coming. Service Captain, plumbing, heating, AC, and good deeds for free. 50 years, maybe a lifetime to build trust. Once one, it's a precious value. I'm Michael Akiva, managing partner for Jacoby & Myers. We're honored to have earned your trust since 1972, and there's nothing we value more. Jacoby & Myers, the name you trust. U.S. Termite? Maybe. Or you know U.S. Termite. Either way, call the folks at Pacific Coast Termite for a free home inspection. Certain restrictions apply. They treat your home and kill those little buggers without tension. That is important. Call 800-PACIFIC, 800-PACIFIC. Visit PacificCoastTermite.com. Call 800-PACIFIC.
You're so nice. You're so nice.
The clean, friendly way.
This is Jacob Emron. If you've been involved in a motorcycle accident, call 844-24-GAP.
Glad to be honest. David just stop complaining.
I guess I do that you sitting at home like a loser.
Maybe it's time you were a winner.
KFI wants you to do a cash refill with $1,000 every weekday hour from 6 a.m. through 7 p.m.
Just looking for the keywords, then enter it at KFIAM640.com/cash.
No texting, just winning. Listen to win $1,000 every hour weekdays from 6 a.m. through 7 p.m.
Claim your cash refill
on KFI AM 640.
more stimulating talk.
John Cobell, King Info, KFI AM 640 live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. Just one more earthquake note. The largest earthquake that hit Southern California on the San Andreas, at 8.2. That would be 78 times stronger than the Northeast quake. So take that earthquake and multiply that 178.
I'm exhausted. I'm looking forward to sleeping tonight. There's no way.
Could happen any minute. They're coming dreams or something like that. Right? So,
You guys are not going to enjoy that either if there's an 8 point whatever. I mean, seriously, it's not just going to be me. There is the
I was going to
say, to you, like that.
You'd be surprised what I enjoy. I could just ride with it.
Who would enjoy an earthquake of that magnitude?
I don't know. Aren't you a little curious about what that would feel like? No.
I mean, aftermath. I mean, and we talked about power for probably months. If we survive.
My phone won't ring. If I were to have like motion sickness, I wouldn't want that. No. How about after 3 o'clock? As Todd's picture put it, the Orange County VA, an innocent man is dead because he took a bike ride to enjoy a beautiful California day along the beach with a kid in the car and stared to death by someone he apparently never met. The murderer was complete strange in broad daylight for what appears to be absolutely no reason to self-assassinate. Our next hour is a man who wants to remain, I think it's a man, am I right? Who wants to remain anonymous. But he did witness the entire incident, so he says. They have arrested Van Roy Evan Smith of Long Beach for the murder of Dr. Michael John Malone. This happened last Wednesday in Dana Point. So we'll get to our guest and talk about what he saw and heard. The heard could be important because there are some things being thrown out there about exactly what the man behind the wheel of the car may have said after he got out and stabbed the bicycle to death. Last Friday, we threw a hack in the dumpster, didn't we? He's in the news already. Hugo Soto Martinez is this new socialist councilman. The Mitchell Federal, and we talked about Echo Park Lake, and these guys were taking a fence down in Echo Park Lake. He wants to bring the homeless back. He wants to bring the homeless back. And take them back to their rightful home, Echo Park Lake. Now, not surprisingly, he's part of the Democrat Socialists of America, and he does not believe in policing. But in fact, this story calls him one of the most prominent police abolitionists. That's the story like abolishing slavery. We're beyond funding. This whack job wants to eliminate the police. He thinks Los Angeles will be a better place if there are no police. Actually not elected. That's just, what the hell is going on in that district? A guy runs on abolishing the police department. Wow. So apparently recently, a police officer at LAPD actually took a screenshot of his computer where a radio call popped up, and apparently somebody was asking for an extra patrol throughout the night to protect a white Lexus that was parked at the office of Hugo Soto Martinez. So you can imagine the officers and the union's response to this. Oh, all right, so they want protection now from the police that they want to abolish. But to get the story straight, it was not Soto Martinez's Lexus. It's one of that would have been the big guy, it was his car. One of his staffers, though. One of the biggest staffers. One of his true believers. What do that mean for the staffer, do we? Oh, yes, we do. We do have the David May, M-A-I. He's the owner of the Lexus. He works for Hugo Soto Martinez. And he actually wanted a patrol car to drive by periodically through the night because his Lexus was broken down. And he didn't want anything bad to happen to it. So Mr. Abolish the Police has a staffer who's calling the police for private security. Police don't do that. My car's broken down in front of my office. Would you go check on it every hour or so? So Nick Barnes-Batista, the NHS deputy, for Soto Martinez, issued a statement. It's come to our attention that a deputy staffer had some contact with the LAPD regarding his personal vehicle. We're investigating this matter internally. To be taking appropriate action, Council Member Soto Martinez is very upset. But this does not reflect the values of transparency, responsible governance, and being accountable to the community that elected. Oh, is that the violation? Violates the transparency value? I don't even know what that means. How about the big stinking hypocrite value? You guys are fake and phony. This crowd, they're such phonies because what we always said is, if they're the victim of a crime, or they fear they're going to be the victim of a crime, the first thing they'll do is call 911 and ask for the police. Of course they do. How many times have we heard about legislators around the country who've been yelping about defunding the police, and then when there's some trouble, turns out they want the police to provide private security? By the way, vast majority of white, blacks, and everybody else reject. God, the LAPD Sergeant Herrera Gonzalez refers to Soto Martinez as Mr. Defund the Police. He says, also don't do that. We don't send units to protect somebody's car from possible theft. Yeah, let's try their request too. This must be a very young person. That's a little kid that the police aren't going to come around and give you private protection 24 hours a day. It's not his youth. He's a stupid hypocrite, what he is, this David May. He's not even looking for protection for himself. He's looking for his car to be, he couldn't move it. I have this really cool white Lexus, and it's broken down now, and I'm afraid bad guys might damage it or they might steal it. Do you think you guys could come and just, could one of you maybe just live in it for the night and protect it? You think David Manny's looking for another job today, or just too embarrassing for people around? Well, yeah, I suppose the police to watch protect their car. Except you know what? We're out here. If Hugo Soto Martinez is hurt in some way, he would too. I don't know if he's got a family or a wife or whatever, but if any of them felt in danger, he would call the police. These guys are phony. They have a stick that they sell to the stupid out there. Anybody with more than a 50 IQ knows you need a police department. I know, like, the survival is taking 6 minutes. You would ask for help, right? What are you going to do? Call a social worker? I don't understand this. This is like saying you want to bottle oxygen. No more water. It's absurd. And Hugo Soto Martinez is like the boob of the year. Inside 1 week, he wants to bring hundreds back to Echo Park Lake. And he also prefers an Echo Lake Park. I was going to confused. It's Echo Park Lake. He wants to bring hundreds of homeless back, fakers, bums, riffraff, to the lake. And at the same time, the stupid staffer is calling for, it's really calling for Daddy to come help because the car broke down. The easy way to remember is there's a neighborhood in Los Angeles called Echo Park. Right. And then there's a lake, so it's Echo Park. So it's the lake in Echo Park. I can't get that straight, and I don't know why. No, I remember last year you were saying the same thing. Echo Lake Park. No. The lake isn't called Echo Lake, but it's called Echo Park. Well, you can have a park around the lake. Yes, you can. But it starts with the neighborhood names, and then it starts Echo Park Lake Park. Well, that's a good one. It could be, and almost incredible. Stay with us for our guest after 3 o'clock because they witnessed this horrible crash between a car and a bicycle in Orange County, and then the car driver gets out instead. The bicyclist gets gassed. It turns out to be an ER doctor. Johnny 10:10 and 640 live everywhere in the iHeartRadio app. And you never walk live in the 24-hour KFI News.
35 homes in the Skyline housing development in Santa Clarita have been evacuated following a landslide. It sent some backyard retaining walls tumbling down the hillside. That landslide happened yesterday. Officials in Lake Elsinore will join law enforcement personnel tomorrow to detail plans for dealing with traffic nightmares and addition to people see the most Grammy wins of all time to 130 feet last night. Traveling weather from KFI sunny tomorrow with highs in the low 50s to low 70s. This report brought to you by GiveMeTheVin.com. From the Southern California Toyota dealer shopping center with Bill Places, we're going to install in Whittier. Some of 605 North and right at Beverly Boulevard, blocking the T-Line lane. Now, right now, they're holding all lanes, trying to clear this out of your way, but you've already got a really heavy ride coming away from the 105 on the flip side. 605 southbound at Carlson Avenue, that drives over on the right shoulder with delays from Beverly Boulevard. Heading to, we really still have some trouble. 210 east on right at Irvingdale Avenue. Had a crash over on the right shoulder and a second crash in the same area on the carpool lane. Looks like now you're delayed just right around Huntington Drive. And in the Cajon Pass, 15 northbound, right at the 138. Still has a left blocking the left lane. It's heavy from Kenwood Avenue. KFI in the sky helps get you there faster. I'm Jay Harnett.
Here's the Biz.com.